Greetings and welcome to the 1-6 Scale Man proudly presents Comic Book Talk with Friends. How's everybody doing? How's everybody tonight? So glad to have you in. Tell me what you think about the new intro. The intro was pretty fire there, man. I love it. I love it. This was actually brought to you by a good friend of mine. We'll get into that just a good second. But yeah, so glad to have you guys here. Shout out to both Brendan and Jedi Kid. They couldn't be here tonight. Brendan is actually sick. Today is Jedi Kid's birthday, so shout out to him. Happy birthday to you, brother. But I still have, Vinny here with me, and we have a special guest in the building. So we're just going to jump right on in on that real quick. Yeah. What's up, guys? How y'all doing tonight, man?
Going on, good people?
Hey, what's up, bud?
Definitely, man. And mind you, everybody out there, we are not feeling the best. None of us are. We all have colds. I'm dealing with a cold, sinus issue, a little under the weather. So is Vinny. So is 6 Scale Mafia. But besides that, we just decided to be here tonight and have a conversation because we're just going to keep the ball rolling and hold it down for everybody out there. So, yes, the plague is going around. Haven't gotten it, fully vaccinated. But, people do forget about the common colds. They move on everything else, but they forget about the common colds and the flu. So, yes, this is where we are right now. So, anyway, how's everybody out there? Vinny, how you doing today, brother?
Tired, man. I went out
feel you.
last night about 11 o'clock p.m. Start snow removal. I got home around 2:30 today.
Mm-hmm.
So, just and last night we got started and it was sleeting and crazy winds, 20 mile an hour. So it beat my ass up, man. So my little sniffles here, that's from probably the last storm being out in it. And luckily everything is negative, so all good. It's just good old OG cold. Good old faithful, old regular ass. It's boring now, but yeah. So we're getting through it, and I took a little nap after I got home. Had to be up and at 'em, ready for the show. Looking forward to talking comics with amigos.
Definitely. And Mafia, man, what's going on with you, brother? Now, everybody out there who doesn't know, and like I said, I just wanted to kind of mention this real quick. 6 Scale Mafia, my guy Anthony is the one who did the amazing intro to the show. If you missed it in the very top, should we play it again for him, fellas? Should we play it for one more time? One more time from the top. We're going to basically play y'all the actual intro of the show. So if you missed it, this is a rewind. You get a chance to see it. And it's memorable. I love it. Here we go. Yes, that was brought to you by none other than Mr. 6 Scale Mafia himself, Anthony. Yes, man. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody said new Limp Bizkit music dope.
never gonna end, man.
It's never gonna end. He did it all for the Nookie, but the Nookie paid off this time. So appreciate that, brother. Like it was definitely dope, man. Definitely.
I'm glad
dope.
to have been able to help you out, man. It's awesome, dude.
Yeah. It was an awesome intro, man. Everybody let me know what you think about it. That's going to be the new intro going all out. So, yes, do love it. Let me address the chat real quick because we got a few people here and more coming through in a little bit. We got Malachi Mabane in the building, my guy. Joga Blue 7, thank you. And Jan Michael Jameer, thank you. Avengers Assemble. Thank you, Charlie Unicorn. Thank you, This'll Brag. Thank you for being here. And we got the Russian bot here, as always. We got William Owens in the building. Philip the Fool. Let's see here. My baby Latoya T. My daughter Skylar Moore. 6 Scale Mafia, of course. Matt M. Let's see who else we got. Simon. Louis Labitz is in the building. Collector and Conquer is in the building. K Carter 27. Let's see here. Xander is in the building. Zachary Grant, Two Ferns. Boogie Manny is in the building. Thank you for coming through the Ben Cave. Let's see here. Bob Dylan is in the building as always. My man Bob, how you doing, brother? Yes, and Zachary Grant, Two Ferns. Yes, we have everybody in here. Like I said, more coming through later on. We have a $1.99 super chat from DJ N. Love the intro, bro. Thank you for that, brother. That's on behalf of Six Scale Mafia. I got to give credit where credit is due. He killed that. John McNulty, Ray C, Mike Fiala, and Lizzie Venus in the building. Guys, it's going to be a really, really decent discussion. Now, before we actually jump in, we got some off the top stuff that we're going to talk about real quick. Number one is, I don't know if everybody's actually seen it, but me and my lady, we are addicted to this show, and it's only 3 episodes in. I mean, we're talking about just 3 simple episodes in, but I am incredibly infatuated with the show. I think, pretty much they have given, James Gunn the key to the city. Like, literally. They gave him the key to the city and just let him run rampant. They said, Joe, you just, you want to come in and do what you do. We're going to actually let you do it. And they let him come in, and I think he's killing it so far. We're going to talk about the Peacemaker, man. Like, literally, I think what's really, really addictive about this show, it's from the top, bro. Like, just the intro alone got me. I mean, I loved it. I mean, just hands down, I loved it. I love this simple fact that James Gunn has free reigns to do whatever he wants to do. You know what, Two Ferns, I would have to basically agree with you sort of like right now, is that I got to say Peacemaker is better than the Boba Fett show. It is in a sense because it still gives me that wow factor. And it's what it is it's humor. It's gore, which I know basically is up Vinny's alley. If you think I'm playing, you got to watch. You got to come with us when we actually have like the Halloween thon, basically at his crib, the horror thon. So you already know how that goes. But anyway, I love it. I love it so far. I love what we're actually getting from the show. John Cena is basically showing and proving that he can step into his own and lead a show. You know what I mean? He is actually leading this, and it is spectacular from what I'm actually seeing so far. It is amazing. The rest of the cast is pulling in and they're holding their own. But that intro, if you haven't seen the intro to this show, get a chance. If you haven't, watch it. It is addictive. Me and my girl said we're going to actually learn it. And every time it comes on, we just going to do it with them because that shit's crazy. Vinny, what you think so far, man, from what you're seeing?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I wasn't very knowledgeable on Peacemaker before Suicide Squad, but I liked, seeing his performance. I felt like he was a natural transition to actor with the type of work that he did in the wrestling business and stuff like that. So I love that the whole show has a very Garth Ennis feel, and a lot of people have been saying that like a Deadpool feel, and I kind of disagree on that because that's it's similar, but it's like a different lane. But Garth Ennis has that like dark comedy, like The Boys type of humor to it, and it's still adult.
Preacher.
Yeah, it's still a Preacher. It's still violent, it's still adult, and it doesn't take itself too seriously and everything. But there's still definitely like cool action sequences and decent story and plot elements. So it's a sleeper show for real. We give DC a lot of flack for its decisions when it comes to on-screen product because it's so random and all over the place. But one of the upsides to how random DC programming is sometimes they, when they don't know what they have and they let somebody take it over and just run with it, that's when they always tend to get these great, outings and showings. And James Gunn, man, talk about a snowball effect, a butterfly effect from those tweets 10 years ago, or else we never would have got this show and all the stuff that he's done with these.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, talk about like a story of progression of events. Like, it has turned itself into James having kind of free reign to, like you said, to do whatever he wants. There's some lines in that show that I guarantee you, and I mean, there probably is articles about it already that DC fought back on or would have not let a regular director do, but they have some star power there with James, and he's making himself at home in DC, and now that's really exciting.
Yeah, definitely. He's pulling through, man. Like, I mean, I honestly can say, like, literally, I had zero faith in this particular show. And it's because, again, I wasn't, I mean, mind you, I love John Cena's performance in, Suicide Squad. But when it comes to just him as a standalone, I didn't think. I was like, yeah, well, it is what it is. If it happens, it happens. So, we'll see. But I must say, like, yo, this show so far has come through. I love his character. We still have Waller in it. We have her in this take. Her daughter is actually working alongside Peacemaker. We also have the Vigilante in it. There's so many different things going on, and
oh man,
Judo Master is in it. Exactly.
Yeah. If y'all like The Boys, watch Peacemaker.
Yeah, exactly. If you love The Boys, watch Peacemaker. Eagerly, yeah. I heard this before. Somebody made this remark, and it is true. Eagerly is going to actually be the next Grogu. I bet you, because that character is the thing is, it's crazy because I'm like, I have a hard time deciphering whether or not it's CGI or if it's a real bird or if it's a real eagle because of how it's done. I mean, it's done so. And you get Robert Patrick in there, bro. Yeah. His character, bro, what is it? The White Dragon or what is it?
I think so. He's great.
He's great. Like, the thing is, it's so good to see like some of the old, throwback actors getting, their just due. I definitely love it. Luminara says, hey, I love the Peacemaker show. It's so funny. Yes, it is. It's incredibly funny. I made sure I sat down and made my girl watch it. We watched it and had a ball. It was funny as hell. I know Six Scale Mafia, you haven't seen it yet, bro. I get that. But, brother, you got to watch it, man. Like, literally, you got to watch it, bro, because it's up your alley. And considering the simple fact that you're all for the nookie, just remember this. The word freedom, it will never be the same after you hear it in this show. Freedom. Everybody out there who's seen the show so far, hashtag freedom. Yo, I'm telling you, bro, I love it. Like, I really, and somebody else said in there, you know what, given in 2 days, Boba Fett's going to take back the rings. Yeah, K Carter, that's what I'm talking about. Freedom, that's what I'm talking about, brother. So, yo, Anthony, when you see it, you'll understand what these words and this word means. I'm not going to tell you nothing. I don't want it to count out the bag. When you see it, you'll understand. But yeah, somebody said in 2 days, definitely Boba Fett will probably take the reins back. I don't know. That's yet to be seen, but I am so highly anticipating episode 4 of this particular show. And yo, Judo Master with them hot Cheetos, bro. Like,
everything you did was just so on point.
I did watch the intro.
Yeah,
I'll give it that. That's all I seen,
bro. It's addictive. It's addictive.
But it was cool. I like the intro. It was weird. But I liked it. I think maybe that's what he was going for. Like, he wants you to like be engrossed in the intro, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, what the hell is going on? Like, they're all dead faced and like, it's cool, man. I will. If you're saying it's like Garth Ennis style stuff, then yeah, I'll probably.
It's so Ennis. If you're an Ennis fan, it's Ennis shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I like the old stuff. I like when he did the Punisher run.
Yeah.
And then Preacher, I have the
like
whole
how
run.
Frank Comes Home, that type of where it's serious but funny at the same time. It's that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely that.
I would probably really dig that then. I didn't like the show Preacher, oddly enough.
Really?
It was okay.
It had its lows, but every time Santa Killers was on, you couldn't breathe. He was just one of them.
Yeah, no, there was some good stuff. I think was great. Translating from page to because I was huge back then. Like, I still have I get the whole run signed.
Yeah.
Like, when he came into the shop one day, I was like, yo, that's where I worked, and he came in. I can't get him graded, but I don't care. I got like 66 issues. He just signed them all one at a time.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Like,
and that's one of the best things. that's one of the best things about that run. It's finite. So like, you know, it didn't just keep going on to keep it going, and that's what I was happy. And I was happy they didn't milk the show to just keep the show going on. I was like, I hope even if this is a hit, they know that there's supposed to be a beginning, middle, and end, and then just fucking keep it concise.
Needs
Like
to be a,
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely Ennis type show for sure.
Okay, then I'll probably dig it. I've been sick, and then I know it just dropped, and
yeah,
I didn't want to try watching something that where I'm at right now because I just kept falling asleep. You know, so it's like I don't want to miss anything.
I'm the same way. If I can't respect the show because I'm falling asleep, I'll wait.
Yeah. Just wait, but when you actually get enough time, bro, like go back and watch it because I'm hooked just on the first, 3 episodes that we got.
Really getting into it, like what's the basic premise though?
It's kind of a spin-off of Suicide Squad, just a smaller splinter, basically a smaller splinter cell of Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
Does it take place after the movie?
After.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Definitely after the film.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's definitely after the film. And the thing is, it's like, again, what James Gunn was able to pull off on HBO is phenomenal. Like, literally, the stuff that they let him do in his film, in his show, it's like, damn. That was my biggest question. It was like, I was like, with this basically be saying, and considering the simple fact that DC is letting pretty much, because we know that James Gunn even has another show with WB, Warner Brothers and the DCU. They actually have him, they're giving him reins to another show that's going to be featured. So my question was, given the simple fact that he has free reins to do whatever he wants with DC, and how he's kind of watered down right now, neutered with Disney in a sense, it's like, okay, do you think his run with Disney is going to come to an end, and that he's going to actually switch over to, or gracefully switch over to Disney? DC, and the WB and Warner Brothers, just to kind of carry that on, considering the simple fact that they trust him. Do you think that's a possibility?
I think that he would have been I think he knows that he would have been just the Guardians of the Galaxy guy for Disney for maybe forever. And in DC, he has the keys. So I don't know if Disney has it's a really weird, we haven't seen this before, is somebody like kind of working with both companies. So I don't know. I don't think DC cared that he works with Disney, but I think Disney probably cares that he's working for DC. Yeah. And if he has to choose, I'm willing to bet that he probably will pick DC, because it looks like for now, at least with properties that aren't, the big hitters, that he's allowed to just do whatever. Like, I could see them giving him whatever kind of offshoot type movie that he wants or whatever, and even some of the big films. So I see him feeling like he has more creative range with DC, which is crazy to think of after how big he blew up from Guardians. There's kind of a like a more restriction in Disney. I think you're not just pitching shit that you want to do to Disney. They already know what the fuck they want to do, and they pick you to do it if they want you as a part. Whereas in DC and Warner Brothers, I feel like he has a bigger voice there. So I think he might wind up, if he's not allowed to work with both, I feel I'm deciding to stick with DC in the future. It's just I could be wrong.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I would love to see him do both, because he does such a good job on Guardians, and for him to actually, we know that he's bringing in, my favorite, Adam Warlock, finally. So we're going to get a chance to see that. So it'd be interesting to see how he takes that film and how successful it'll be. I would love to see, given the simple fact that he has the key to the city for both, why not just stick with both and just kind of merge? Like, he might be the answer to, because I know a lot of people have been saying down the road they would want to see that crossover, which I don't think is going to happen. But anyway, it would be interesting if they did. But I don't know. I'll leave that up to the chat if they basically think that something like that, would happen. I don't know. We'll definitely take it from there.
I think.
Yeah, what you gonna say?
I think he'll probably stick with DC. I think Guardians is gonna wrap as a trilogy, and then if and when they want to revisit that franchise down the road, they may consider him. But I agree with Vinny on that. I think that he has way more artistic freedom over at DC. I think they liked his style, similar to like, Taiwo Wakiti. You can tell what kind of film that is right out the gate when you see one of his movies. You're like, oh, okay. They have a unique style, and I think DC is sorely lacking in that department with their EU, right? Their movies have been hit and miss. They blew their load too quick, I think. And for them to be able to do this, and if you guys are saying it's like this and it's kind of gory, and they can kind of push their boundaries, I think DC needs that. And Marvel, Disney will never do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And how often, even before the controversy with him, how often if they just have him doing Guardians and not doing other projects, then he's only, if he's just working with Marvel, you're just working every 4 years, whereas DC, he's doing shows. He's about to do another DC show with them, and then him doing movies too. If he wants to stay busy in doing superhero genre without having to worry about doing independent films in between what Disney decides he's allowed to do, it's definitely the better route for him. But you never know. But I'm pretty sure the writing's on the wall that he wraps up Guardians 3 and then bounces back over to DC full time, and then maybe once in the down the line, Disney has him come do something. But I like the precedence that it's set, that it's that there's no line drawn in the sand with James Gunn where he's able for both companies, because him going to DC after they fired him and then coming back that's a good look. It's fucking predictable that they just waited till the fucking smoke cleared, and I was like, all right, I think they're okay now. Come on back, like no one cares anymore. So silly.
Definitely. We got a $1.99 super chat from DJN. Gunn is definitely going to end up at DC. Marvel last is G3. So that seems to be the sentiment of basically where he's going with it. So I don't know. Who knows basically how that's going to be. Also, Avengers Assemble said there was mention of Superman and the Eternals, so maybe you're right. They did actually mention that, so it could possibly be a crossover. They could be warming us up. I don't know. Max Geekdom says, such a great show. 1/6 Scale Man, was that cheetah that was being freedomed? No. No, it wasn't. My daughter says, this is a random thought, but I still never understood what the beacon going off at the end of Shang-Chi meant, or what its connection to. We don't know yet.
It's not something from the comics, so it's something that they made up.
Yeah, they just made that up, baby. So we don't know how that's going to be. We just got to kind of wait and see where it's going to actually go. So who knows? I don't know. Again, we'll see how it goes. We got a $5 super chat from Lizzie Venus. I would love to see James Gunn do a Lobo film or series. What's your thought?
Lobo is Lobo's like a Moon Knight for me, as far as the DC untapped. Black Adam and Lobo were the two big DC untapped potential guys. It's cool getting to see Black Adam. A Lobo film would be phenomenal. It sucks that Momoa was cast as Aquaman. He'd be a badass fucking Lobo.
Yeah, he'd be
He should have been Lobo, or he should have been the Jay Lee version of Namor. Those are the two guys I'd always had Momoa pegged for, and unfortunately, we're not going to get that. I would rather just fucking put him in the makeup and just let him do both. He looks exactly like fucking Lobo. But I would love to see Lobo.
He's definitely like the perfect rendition. I would actually peg him, because if you, when you look at Lobo, and on top of that, his attitude, just the personality itself, it just makes so much sense. Like when you look at even this right here, this is Jason Momoa all the way down.
You can kind of see him there, man.
You can definitely see Jason Momoa right there as Lobo. So I agree, Lizzie. Like that would actually be. I would, if they would do something like that, it would be.
I actually just got his first appearance graded comic like last week, so
yeah,
I'm all about it.
Yeah, definitely. Mark 7 says yes to Gunn doing Lobo. Definitely. I think if they did a Lobo show, Mark 7 should play Lobo. That would definitely be interesting with the beard and everything. We just got to give him some hair. We got to give him a lace front. but that would be dope. Um,
The main mark.
the main mark, definitely. 1/6 scale, man. Get Roman Reigns to play. Hey, you know what? That's considering if Roman Reigns, because we only seen him. I only basically seen him in one film, and that was the Hobbs in whatever film, and I guess we didn't really get a chance to see acting chops. I mean, he would actually have to warm up to that. I guess Rock, being his cousin, would have to kind of warm him up and get him prepped for that. But that definitely, I don't know. It would be interesting to actually see. Now, one other thing that I want to talk about real quick, because we are on the precipice right now of actually seeing this pretty soon. And when I say pretty soon, it is pretty soon. Now, mind you, there's one person on this panel that will not watch this. It will not happen. Go
ahead.
Yeah, he's not going to watch it. But tonight is, if anybody's basically watching the Rams and the Cardinals game right now, we are a minute and 53 seconds away from actually finally seeing the trailer of Moon Knight tonight.
Oh.
So that's going to be on. So that'd be interesting to see.
Wasn't there already a teaser?
There was a quick little teaser, but it wasn't an actual trailer.
Nothing, yeah.
Yeah.
In the teaser, I thought he had white on. In the stills I've seen from the trailer tonight, it looks like he's like all gray. What the fuck?
We saw a picture,
unless they're
I think,
going with
a couple months ago.
the Spectre, like the Spectre version, like the Dark Spectre. I don't know. They could. The Wraith. Remember the Wraith?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't like it.
Yeah. But see, again, it's like I said, we haven't really seen it. So there might be a interesting. I don't know. We'll see how that actually goes.
We'll see how it goes. I hope they don't try to be cute and change the shit up and say, oh, he'll get the white later. We're building to it. It ain't Daredevil. He wears the white for a reason, so that way everybody fucking know he's coming because he don't give a shit. It's the point to him wearing white. So I hope they don't make us wait for it. Don't play with his costume, please. Just give us the costume. Give us the costume that everybody wants. Don't make us wait till like the end of season 1 or some dumb shit. Just fucking give us his white on white on white.
Yeah, give us that. I would definitely. I mean, and again, we'll actually see it. Well, I'll see it on 6 Scale Mafia. I don't know if he'll see it. Vinny will not watch it. Let me tell y'all something about Vinny. Doesn't watch trailers at all.
If
Vinny,
I know I want to see it.
Because when he wants, and you know what, and if I started out that way, I pretty much would probably find, and you know what, it's like being a virgin all over again. Mm-hmm. One bad relationship and you wish that you were a virgin, like straight up, like you literally wish you were a virgin, like you never had sex, and that whatever, just one bad relationship. But that's how it is when it comes to trailers for Vinny. Vinny's a virgin to trailers. He won't watch them, and I think it's better that way. I'm just molested by trailers, so I can't go back. It's too late for me. But
it's too late.
It's too late.
Vinny, what was the last trailer you saw?
I'll watch the trailer for anything that I don't know what it is. Like if there's some random action or horror movie, I'll see a trailer, and then this is what I'll do, bro. If I like it, I'll just stop it in the middle of the trailer and be like, okay, cool, I'll watch it. Because the first time I didn't watch a trailer was Pacific Rim, and I heard Guillermo del Toro, Big Monsters, Big Robots, and I was like, cool, I don't even need to see the trailer, and it wasn't like a stance. I just fucking didn't watch the trailer. I'm geeking out in the theater over everything. I'm fucking losing my mind, and then afterwards,
right.
I went back and I watched the trailer, and like him, Gypsy Danger carrying the fucking battleship as a fucking sword and shit. All that shit was in the fucking movie. Like half the fucking movie was in the trailer, and I'm thinking I would never have had that reaction in the theater as I did watching it, and and that's just proven true so many times where I'm in the theater just like losing my shit, and so many of those scenes people have already kind of like already had ruined for them by watching the trailer loading up. But I'll do that. I'll watch any trailer for shit I don't know, for like a regular movie or action movie or drama or something like that. I'll watch
something
trailers
like superhero.
It's only if I know that I'm something like Moon Knight. Like you don't need to sell me. I'm gonna watch it. So it's like why not have all that experience as I'm actually watching it? But I'll watch the trailer for something that I need to be sold on. So for sure.
Yeah,
I will deny him.
DK asks like, what do I do in the theaters? And Leo would tell you, I will literally am in Zen mode. I have mastered the art of. It's like a mom when she doesn't want to listen to her loud ass kids and she's just focused on her show and doesn't hear them playing in the background. I'll just talk to whoever's next to me or be on my phone and fucking zone it out. Or if it's something that like there's not enough noise or whatever, I'll literally
zone completely out.
Or I'll even hold my ears. I don't care how I look.
And he won't watch it. Like literally, he'll hold his ears and turn his head. And I'm like, yo, like it's so hard. Like even at the ending credits of No Way Home, Vinny rolled. He left. He left before we got a chance to see the
we were sitting in the theater at No Way Home.
Yeah.
And somebody told me that the second after credit is a Doctor Strange trailer. And I was like, wow, this is going to be the first time I ever leave a theater at the end of a Marvel movie. But there was a good reason. So I just dipped and left.
Yeah.
And because I didn't want to see the trailer. But yeah, I will avoid any trailer if I want to. If it's something that I really want to see, I want to have that whole experience in the film.
Yeah.
And I've come. And the funny thing is, like in our friend group or movie crew that we go, like at least 3 or 4 of them, like now do the same thing because I've converted them to the dark side. It's like just pick one movie that you don't really care for, that like you're not super hyped to see, that you can avoid the trailers without feeling like you're missing the experience leading up to it, and just pick a movie going into it that, like for instance, like Morbius. Like if you haven't seen the trailer for that because you don't really care or whatever, don't watch any trailers for it, and then watch the movie, and then it's like, oh wow. And then afterwards, watch the trailer and like, wow, all those jump out your seat moments you had during the film, you would have already had at home watching it on your phone.
A good point.
The single songwriter said, that's what just happened to me. I watched 7 minutes of The Batman, and it felt like most of the best parts were shown in 7 minutes. But it still looks awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lizzie says, Vinny rocks. Uh-oh. Do the hand. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody, DK said, thanks for the explanation. Most impressive. Yeah, he does it. I don't know how.
Try it once with one movie that is not that big a deal to you. I mean, I know you can't. I've tried to convert you to dark side for years. But yeah, to the chat, like just pick some movie coming up next year or something that they haven't released a trailer for, and just pick one movie and do that too. But the important part is go watch the trailer after you've seen the film, so you see how much you were excited for in the moment that what you would have already seen. Like, oh, okay, cool. He does that thing there. Like even like Ragnarok, man, I didn't see any of that Thor versus Hulk fight. So to me, that was all new. It was incredible. And like, and it was all in the whole fucking fight was in the trailer pretty much.
Yeah.
I tell you, that Ragnarok was a good trailer though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it was a great trailer.
It was a good trailer.
But it was like, imagine watching that movie without knowing anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was and there's some movies that do that, like the original Matrix. They didn't show you anything. They didn't tell you anything. There's a bunch of movies that their marketing is like, specifically cryptic, so that it wants you to have that type of experience. And so I try to give that to myself, regardless of how much the studio wants to show you. It's really hard nowadays because nowadays the trailer, even if I avoid the trailer, people take scenes from the trailer and make memes out of it. So you can't avoid stills. You know what I mean? It's tough.
Yeah. That's why we used to basically put, like, we watch a trailer, and then because we have like a private chat on Facebook, and we would put all the trailers in there, and Vinny would not respond. He wouldn't respond until the feed moves up a bit more.
If somebody posts a trailer in our group chat, if somebody posts a trailer in a group chat, somebody would tag me, Vinny, go past this, like, don't look. So like I have people who like, oh wait, that's a trailer, don't show Vinny, and then I'll fucking purposely skip past it. But it's a lifestyle choice.
Ashley Chase, $2.99 super chat. I don't know much about Moon Knight. Ooh, Ashley, you have come to the right place.
Mm-hmm.
Short things first. His name is Mark Spector. He was a mercenary. Started out as an actual mercenary in the books. Him and a few other mercenaries ended up in this tomb. They ended up basically assassinating the archaeologist that was in the tomb, but his daughter was there. Moon Knight saved his daughter. The rest of the mercenaries, they attacked him, left him for dead. But I keep forgetting the name of the relic and also the god. who
It was
brought
like
him
the
back.
Egyptian moon god or something.
Yeah,
right?
it's an Egyptian. I keep forgetting. It's hard to pronounce the name for me, but brings him back. And the first iteration of Moon Knight was basically. So you got to keep in mind there was two iterations of him.
Khonshu.
Yeah, Khonshu. So there's two, and the trailer's on right now. But there were two iterations of Moon Knight. It was in the earlier rendition of Moon Knight. One of the biggest things was he didn't have multi personalities. He had multiple identities like this that he took on. He did play a $1 billion playboy, and that's why basically people associated him with Batman. They basically said that he was, Marvel's version of Batman at that time, which, I kind of hate it because I wanted him to be a standalone person, just his own character. So he went through so many different iterations. Then once they did a rerun and revamping of him, that's when they gave him multiple personalities and said that he was crazy. That he had, is it dissociated something disorder? Personality disorder. So he had multiple personalities that he basically dealt with, and that's where we got the current iteration of Moon Knight. So yes, he is a force to be reckoned with. He is a master martial artist. And actually, one thing I do want to tell you, this man, one man took out the entirety of the Avengers by himself. Literally, by himself. If given the prowess and given that ability, that's who he is, and that's what he can do. He's just an amazing individual. And yes, when you see it, and I think Oscar Isaac is going to do this justice, literally. He's going to kill it, and I cannot wait to see it on screen. I'm excited about it. Everybody else, I hope you are. And that's just a quick rundown, Ashley. We can talk all night about Moon Knight, and that's why it makes he is pretty much one of my favorite characters of all time. And I would have never thought, if you would have asked me this years ago, I would have never thought that we would actually get an iteration of Moon Knight on screen. And to see that now, it is phenomenal. I cannot wait. But yeah, that's just a quick rundown of him. And you can actually get, you can go back. There's issues if you don't. I mean, you can actually go back and find it and read like some of the earlier stories and stuff like that.
There's a big Moon Knight omnibus that collects a lot of the early Werewolf by Night issues.
Yeah.
Early prints of his first run. And
Yes.
Moon Knight is a difficult character to peg down good reading recommendations for because his comics he's been one of those characters that are really beloved by fans, but the sales haven't always reflected it. So there's been a lot of reboots, and every time the irony is that oftentimes he's rebooted and then they add another element to his story. And he's already schizo and has all this stuff going on. And every time it's added, it's not really a retcon. It's just added to his fucking baggage. Yeah. So it just keeps getting more and more complex. So it's someone that on like face value is like a Batman or a Daredevil or a Night Thrasher type, but he has so much complexity to his character, from his motivations, his psyche, his power set, his skill set, and his demeanor, his attitude. Like he's not for the average cartoon Saturday morning viewer.
Not at all.
He's not your friend. He's not there to like get a promotional deal or ice cream bars. He's there to like he's fucked up in the head, and
literally.
So we're not sure how much of that we'll see. But
I'm wondering if they're going to show that intro like that.
That would be interesting if they did something like that, though.
It's a character that I think that really, I mean, I would have loved if this would be a Netflix type show, but I love that it's a TV show, because I don't think that I've always wanted a Moon Knight movie, but that's before I knew that there was a possibility of a TV show, because before Marvel was doing Disney Plus shit. So I love that it's a TV show where they'll be able to let that character breathe, because this is a character that looks amazing, is very cool, kicking ass, and looks amazing in his white, and the aesthetics are what brings you to Moon Knight.
He's such a unique character too, right?
Very unique.
That's one of the reasons why I hope they don't fuck with his costume, because that's what brings you as a reader to the dance. That's what brings you there. But what keeps you there is how interesting he is as a person. But
Yeah.
I hope they don't mess with the suit too much, because that would definitely draw envy, because it's such a unique look. So he wants to be, he wears white so that he knows, you see him coming.
Yeah.
So
Right.
That's the thing,
It's
is
not hidden,
his fixation is to be visible. He
wants
wants the base of, he wants, the thing is, Mark Spector as Moon Knight is a character that's so complex that he's not hiding from.
Right.
He's not hiding from his enemies. He wants them, because basically it's for him, it's that urge that's fulfilled. He wants that because he feeds off the violence, because it's actually also a segue from him dealing with the multiple personalities. He needs to be active, because the less active he is, as we are as human beings in real life, we think much. When we think, we're going through different ways. So for him to stimulate and to keep those things kind of pretty much in check is why he chose the route of being a vigilante, why he goes out and does what he does. And at the same time, you got to keep in mind that he uses those personalities to his advantage. Now, one person like Mike Fiala, he said, "Hey, Lael, 1/6 scale man, are you ready for the Disney version of Moon Knight, though?" That's to be determined, because that's the biggest question.
I've said all along, please don't fuck this up, please.
Exactly. What are they going to do with this character, and how will we actually see him? Now, we already know that Oscar Isaac is good and has range. We know that he'll basically pull off the multiple personalities. I'm not worried about his performance as Moon Knight. The character look, we can sort of like see how this going. But if they dumb this character down, it doesn't give him the ability to spread his wings. On top of that, the rating, we know this is Disney. So if you're expecting a rated R version, which it should be, it should have been a rated R version. It should have been like something that they would have placed on Hulu. It have made it more sense.
Yeah,
That's
but they
what
didn't.
I thought they were gonna do.
They didn't. They're dumbing it down. So we just have to basically take it for what we get. I'm still going to enjoy it either way. I'm going to find a way to basically enjoy it and welcome it. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I don't know. That again, that's just to be predetermined. We'll see how that actually goes and how it flows down. Skylar, my daughter, said, "Okay, I just watched the trailer. Love my baby girl." Like, yeah. So it is interesting to see. Hopefully, we get a mixed bag. Hopefully, like I said, they'll change some things up. I don't know. But yeah.
I'm being optimistic about it.
Yeah, that's the thing
cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic that it'll be a decent show. We'll see actually how it runs.
Well, the fact that it's a show is going to give him, I think, time to breathe and grow because he's so interesting of a character. That and you guys know, I know you know. I mean, he's been a part of, a bunch of stuff like Marvel Knights and like I think the Midnight Sun stuff, like the Ventures. So he's been on teams, so they can bring him in down the road after.
And the thing is, exactly. And what I'm interested in seeing, like I said, like one of my favorite runs was like Werewolf by Night. I love Werewolf by Night. And on top of that, like I said, this is a chance that we might even see him basically work well with Black Knight and also Blade. And I got a feeling like that's the realm that he'll exist in, because they have worked together before, which made it interesting. So I don't know.
And Morbius too.
Yeah.
And I definitely could see them. If this goes away, splintering off into a Marvel Knights type of division of the Disney Plus shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So hopefully they realize that they're doing something for everybody at Disney, and let them do something for a more mature, older audience character. I mean, we're probably not going to get Punisher, but at least give us Moon Knight. Something that's at least teetering on edge, something that's at least action and violence without being super gory, but take out some jokes. We don't need a joke every beat.
That's why I'm worried about Daredevil. If they're bringing him back and the series picks up, it's like I'm afraid. Being on Disney, like Leo was saying, I think these shows, they should have just gone Hulu, since they own most of Hulu.
Yeah.
That would they're still making money from subscriptions off of Hulu. So
exactly.
Like, here's the fucking dark shit.
Yeah.
Okay, go check out Hulu. People were like, "Damn, okay, I'm gonna go. Daredevil's back on Hulu. I'm gonna go subscribe."
But to me, I think it might be a good sign, because I feel like Hulu is where they're gonna put the Runaways and the Cloak and Daggers and maybe the properties that they don't really plan on doing anything further. And I feel like everything that they're doing on Disney Plus has like a bigger goal in mind. Like all the shows that we've seen on Disney Plus have pretty much led to Phase 4.
Right, they're interconnected into the movies.
So I feel like him being on Disney Plus as opposed to Hulu means we may, if it's a hit anyway, see more of Moon Knight and further down the line as opposed to just being I just come on Hulu and forget about it.
So it's like a catch-22 type of situation.
Catch-22. It might have gave us a better show, but it would have been an ignored show.
Yeah. Because I even liked, when it was on there, Cloak and Dagger. I liked where it was actually going so far. It was a good show, but I mean, they just didn't take it where it needed to be. And it had a good premise, but it is what it is.
Did they can it? Because I didn't watch it.
I think.
Mark 7, he said, "I love Hit Monkey." I figured he would, bro. That's a Mark 7 show, bro. That is. That's definitely a Mark 7 show. Mark 7, one of the illest lyricists out of Harrisburg, PA, in the building. Thank you for coming through and watching. I don't know he's gonna ask that question. Give me that beat, bro. I'm gonna give you the beat. I got more time to do it now, so just wait. I knew that was gonna come in some beating you to the punch. But I mean, I agree. Like, I mean, it is a catch-22 type of situation that yes, we will get it will be dumbed down, but we'll probably get a show. We'll get longevity out of the character depending on how well it hits. And I hope that they just give us much of an impact in the very beginning. I really do, because they're going to need to. Because the thing is, they got to also consider the simple fact that there's a lot of people out there that know little, next to nothing about this particular character. So, we'll see how it actually goes. And if it is successful, you can almost bet that there will actually be, and we already know that there's going to be a Daredevil show, but it just depends on how well it's done.
Moon Knight hasn't even had much animated presence. I think in Spider-Man, a couple episodes of one of the Spider-Man shows, but other than that, he's someone who's pretty much been strictly a for comic heads character, kind of one of the cult figures of comic readers, but he hasn't really translated to any other media yet. So I'm very excited for it.
That's a good point. Bring back the Marvel Knight Studio label. That would make a lot of sense if they did something like that, because then they can segue and put characters there.
Yeah, the genius of the Marvel Knights label that Quesada did back in the 2000s was they didn't have to go out of the way to be like, they did it with Max later, but it was mature audiences, but everyone ignores the mature audiences. But when you have the Marvel Knights label, it was like, this doesn't necessarily mean you're going to see nudity and swearing. It just more so means you're going to see a darker tone of their portion of the universe. And so that's where they put their Punisher and Daredevil and Moon Knight books in like a little pocket of print run where you knew you were going to get a more adult themed story without necessarily being like over the top with violence and gore and nudity or anything like that. It just meant that it wasn't going to be fun or funny. It wasn't trying to be cute. It was trying to be grown up. So I would love to see Disney do that as kind of like, hey parents, this isn't for your 5-year-olds.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so much potential. And again, I'm just going to reserve it until I watch. March 30th is when they said it's going to actually drop. So look out for it.
I'm glad we don't got to wait all year.
Yeah, we don't have to wait all year, which means that, they're going to give Book of Boba its run and, just to kind of fill that out and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely be interesting to watch. I cannot wait. One last off the top, and then we're going to kind of jump in a little bit for whatever time we have remaining. Now, this is, again, it's an ongoing saga. We've heard this time and time again, and I just can't wait till they put it to bed.
I'm kind of over it too.
Yeah, I'm over this. I'm really over this, and that's just the story of Joss Whedon. He came out and publicly had a statement today of his treatment when it came to him working on the Justice League, how he was actually given an IP in the middle or next to the end of Zack Snyder's stint with them, and how he was treated, how he basically said he had worked with some of the rudest actors ever on set. he pegged Gal Gadot as being a prima donna, and so many different things that he actually said about her, which she basically struck back today and said that she will never work with him, and she will always tell anybody else who actually mentions his name that he's not a pleasant person to work with. Oh, so we already know the stuff that was going on with Ray Fisher, but I guess today was Zack Snyder's way of actually coming out. I mean, not Zack Snyder, Joss Whedon's way of coming out, trying to somewhat set the record straight. But I think it was kind of too little too late for that at this point, because he waited way too long. People had already actually had their say, and I think it's just like a PR stunt right now to resalvage what's left. But again, I mean, listen, I'm not here to choose sides, because there's always two sides to every story. But it's just interesting that he waits till now to basically say
to double down, pretty much.
Yeah, so it's just like, it doesn't really look too good, and it was just too many people who. Yeah, what are you gonna say?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. My fault.
No. What were you gonna say? I'm interested.
I am not. I don't really hate that he doubled down. I mean, he probably was an asshole, and the shit that everything I've actually heard doesn't sound like the end of the world. It sounds like he was mean, and it's really weird how he's been kind of crucified for being mean and not nice and fun in an era where everything is so sensitive, and it just seems like he's the the catch of the day. Like he's gotten targeted, and it's a community that it's the most popular genre right now. And you have the Black Lives Matter movement, and you have Me Too, and then you have Whedon doing a whole bunch of shit that probably dozens of directors have done over the course of films. Like he's not the first asshole director who's mean to his actors to get the results that he wants when under pressure from a studio. And he won't be the last. And it's just very odd that he's been made out to be like the first director that was ever not, your best friend while on, your boss. It's kind of like a lot of people hate their boss, and it's really weird, and it's completely justified. I believe all the shit Ray Fisher's saying. I believe the shit Gal Gadot's saying. And then his interview today kind of doubles down on it. He's saying like, hey, English isn't her first language, and like he's kind of a dickhead about it. I love that he's just being a dickhead about it. He's like, look, this is my job. It's not my job to be nice to you while I'm working for you. Sometimes I'm going to tell you, shut up and do it my way. There's bosses that get more done by saying, shut up and do it my way. And there's bosses that it doesn't work for. And I think it's really interesting, not wrong, just interesting that of all the shitty directors' attitudes that have come and gone, like there's Michael Bay's, there's fucking Stanley Kubrick's. Like he's not the first person to have a bad reputation for not being friendly with his actors. It's just he's being like, I don't necessarily agree with him being canceled over being a jerk. He's a director. It's like, imagine if every manager or boss at a place of work was canceled if they were mean to their employees. It's just odd. That's all. And he was in I'm not just sticking up for him or justifying him. He probably is a fucking asshole. But it's just really weird that he's kind of the only person that has like really got under the fire in a long time over it. So I feel like that's going to be a trend, and then maybe that will change the way directors interact with their employees. But at the same time, I'm sure there's a ton of asshole actors who boss the directors around too. It's kind of like how yeah, you know what I mean? It's kind of like how like with Michael or LeBron, like the players are the coach and they can get the coach fired if they want. These stars were the stars of this franchise without Snyder there, and they didn't like how Whedon came in and talked to them. I feel like if it was Snyder who had talked to them that way, maybe they would just like ate it. But he came in and like he was the substitute teacher, and they put up, you know what I mean? So I think it's just interesting. It's a lot of it's a lot of weird shit, and I don't know everything that went on, and I think he was probably like completely wrong all the way through. It's just very interesting that he's completely done over it. That's all. I mean, he probably deserves to be, and that's all fine, but it's odd. It's just odd the way it's all went down.
Playing out.
And I wish that Ray had, I don't know. I wish that Ray was a bigger star so that the way he handled it didn't seem so messy. Like if he was a Denzel saying all this shit, it would just be done and done. But but him not being a big star just makes him like look bad, like he's just looking for clout, and it's really unfortunate to Ray because all the racist shit that Whedon has probably done or said, it's probably true. He probably did have racist motivations for saying that shit. It's just this shit has been going on for a long time in that world, and
like 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that here's it coming out to the public. So it's not like it's not, you know what I mean? I agree with it. I'm just surprised by all of it. You know what I mean? It's something that goes on in Hollywood all the time, but Whedon's like the guy that's gotten busted for it.
Well, it's one thing if he's just an asshole, like you're saying, right? Because I mean, I'm an asshole. I think we all have that kind of in us sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think people should be shunned for that, right? Especially if you're looking at it that way. Okay, so he's the director. Okay, you know, these are the actors. So in a way, they're like his employees almost, you know, to an extent, you know. So I get that, but I think there's probably more bullshit than that, though, right? Because I mean, if someone's just an asshole, they're an asshole. But if you start hearing like shady shit, you know, like then it's kind of like, okay, like if he's all creeping on girls and weird shit and like all this other stuff and this racist shit, it's like, all right, you need to beat feet, you know?
Yeah, that's where I basically sit on the other side of the fence with this, is because the thing is, it's not, I mean, once we heard this, it was just an opportunity for others to actually speak out against it, because again, we know in Hollywood on the flip side that if you speak out against certain individuals who hold that level of power, you can get canceled within the industry. You're blacklisted, you can't really say too much. Now we actually sit in a spectrum where, you know, we do have the Me Too, we have so many different things, and that's at the forefront. It wasn't just with this particular film when it comes to Joss Whedon. We're talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We're talking about the Avengers, whether it was the first Avengers and also Age of Ultron. There, you know, things were, you know, actors were saying that he was highly difficult to work with. Even the studio itself said that there were accusations that they kind of had to sweep under the rug just to protect their image. The thing is, if there's so many people coming out and saying it's okay, yes, we know that there are some directors out there that are assholes, but they're assholes when it comes to their work. It's assholes when it comes to what they do with actors as far as bringing out the best of them. Because you'll have actors that say, you know what, that director's an asshole, but him being an asshole got me to where I needed to be. Okay? So you'll actually hear that. So that's the flip side of it. Whereas with him, it's like, okay, he's an asshole, and at the same time, my record is blemished because of him. On top of that, there's a lot more going on, and he's kind of hindered certain things. What we actually got a chance to see with Zack Snyder's cut of the event of the Justice League versus what we saw with his version, truly is suspect in the sense that pretty much every minority in the film was wiped out until we saw Zack Snyder's version of it. We saw a bigger entry in a relationship between Ray Fisher's cyborg character and his mother. We got a chance to basically see that the interaction between him and his father. There was more depth in the actual storyline, and it carried it, and it made it simplified a couple of things, but it made it meatier. And I'm like, okay, why did we get this versus what we got? Now, the thing is, listen, this dude, listen, I can't judge him because I don't know him, but I can only judge off of the source material and stuff that we actually see. And the thing is, hearing him talk, what makes him suspect right now is that he's waited so long to say anything about it. And now basically when he comes out, he's still being an asshole about the situation. And that's certain things. And that right there, there's a lot that, and I believe with him, we know zero about that's more shady than anything. There's a lot more that's actually out there. It just isn't out to the forefront. And I think that right now he's trying to play damage control to protect his own interest instead of the studios and anybody he's basically worked with. Right now he realizes that he's in a dangerous spot. And I just think I just think it's a tad bit slightly, I could be wrong, but I just think it's a bit too late. That's all.
I just appreciate that he's saying, I'm just doubling down. And then that way he's not coming out and giving some fake phony apology that he probably doesn't mean. Because if any of the shit that is behind the scenes shit is true, then you just lump it all in with all the shit that he's not apologizing for, and just keep your distance from him. If since that's the way he's going about it, as opposed to pretending he's sorry and pretending like, oh, that's not the way he meant it, blah 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 blah. The way his attitude in that interview, it said what it kind of like was like read between the lines, like, this is me, take me or leave me. And at least that gives you, that's like, keep the, keep your true colors on Front Street, so everybody knows how to judge you, and just move on. So if they decide that they want to work with you, that's somebody who decides that they want to deal with that kind of culture while you're making the film, or not. So at least he's not, false representing himself, because a lot of the shit that we've read about underage girls and all that kind of shit is fucked up. And yes, I agree with the chat panel, like way more than bad ball shit. My point is that a lot of stuff he's in trouble for is also the bad ball shit. So I'm not justifying the other shit that he's in trouble for, but I'm just not conflating the two. I think if it wasn't for that other shit, he'd be in hot water as well. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it, a lot of what's out now. Again, it's and the thing is, like I said, with this basically being said, it's just going to open a door for more discussions. Now, let me see here. We got a DJN $1.99. This is a classic narcissist. He's shit. He ain't sorry. Whatever. So narcissist shit. He ain't sorry. Yeah, I know he's not, and I don't think he's actually saying he's sorry.
He's not
at
sorry.
all. No, he's not sorry at all. He doesn't give a fuck. Like, that's just basically his personality right now.
That's kind of my point. At least, like, what you're dealing with him. He's not
he's not.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can respect from him is that he's coming out being the asshole that we know he is.
Yep.
That's it. And I think that basically at this point, he's looking at it like, you know what? I'm already exposed. So being that I'm already exposed and shit's coming out, let me just talk my shit and bow out gracefully. I don't give a fuck if y'all don't like me or whatever. I'm just going whatever. The thing is, based on some of this stuff, I don't know the man. I wouldn't work with him because I really don't give a shit. He's just not somebody that I really care about working with. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, a lot of stuff that was, I just think that right now he's basically saying, yes, I'm an asshole, and mainly saying, believe everything you heard right now. Okay, whatever. Yeah. That's it. But he's now just trying to shit on everybody else. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
I just don't know why.
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting approach, right? Watch the world burn approach. I guess he figures he's done and he could take the high road and feel like he's swallowing his tongue and eating his pride, or he can feel like he's got fuck you money, so fuck y'all. And I mean, how many of us, might be tempted if we were assholes to do the same thing? Just like, your mind's already made up about me, so fuck y'all. That's probably, you know what I mean? And if he's the person that everyone has made him out to be, which he probably is, it's a completely befitting response. And I'm just saying, I respect if you're an asshole, just say, yep, I'm an asshole. Then being an asshole and then pretending you're just fucking, like, come out with some PR interview, that's all bullshit, because we would see right through it anyway.
Yeah, definitely. We got another $4.99 super chat by DJ N. We also have to take into account the content and the layered amplify so much wrong that was done. Awful stuff brought by a lot of others at WB2. You're exactly right, because it wasn't. I just think that right now he's the poster boy for everybody else that's made fucking mistakes. That everybody else behind the scenes, and they're just basically throwing it all on him. That's what I believe. And that's not taken away from the simple fact that he's done his fair share of bullshit. It's just the simple fact that shit's being dusted on him right now.
When you think about the Weinsteins, why is he allowed to say, if you don't fuck me, you ain't gonna work in Hollywood? Why are the other actors, why are the other producers and directors saying, oh, Weinstein said not to work with you, so we're not going to? It's a culture there. It's fucking sick. And it's usually like one person here or there that gets like the brunt of it, and they're the fall guy. But they wouldn't be able to do the shit they're doing if it wasn't systemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much shit going on over there, man.
There is. There's so much shit, but I mean, who knows how it's gonna go. I I don't know. He's made a fool out of himself on so many different levels, and I think this at this particular point he can just care less. He doesn't care what side of the fence he actually sits on at this point. You know, he just, you know, it is what it is for him. But I want to kind of jump into this real quick. You know, for the last couple of like the last half hour that we actually have here, and that's just to mainly talk about Disney. You know, or not Disney, DC. Versus Marvel. And what I mean by that is not just like, you know, we're not talking about just character versus character, power set and stuff like that. But I'm talking about it from a perspective of writing. I'm talking about it from just writing, storytelling and stuff like that. Some will argue and say that, you know, of course, Marvel, you know, DC has proven that they, you know, can write really, really solid stories, whereas that Marvel kind of dumbs a lot of those stories down, and they say that they borrow certain things from DC. I think they both do the same. I think it's safe to say
They've copied off each other forever.
They've copied off of each other forever.
Since the beginning, bro.
My favorite writer of all times, and people who know me, you know, I mean, there's no other like Chris Claremont to me. Mm-hmm. I mean, just basically because I've been a Chris Claremont fan for years. And because I'm an X-Men fan, I think it speaks a lot. You know, X-Men, it resonated more with me than anything. And his storytelling when it came to that franchise, you have some of the greats. You have Bendis. You have, you know, but Chris Claremont, for me, was someone who, you know, pretty much wrote the stories that I wanted to hear. And I think that, you know, being that his wheelhouse was more with Marvel at that time and everything that, you know, he kind of contributed to that, it made for good storytelling. You know, X-Men always will make good for storytelling, and that's why I think that it's so much it's a beloved franchise in general. What do you think, Vinny, in that regards, man?
I mean, there is so many kind of legacy writers for both companies that have defined a lot of the errors of storytelling. And, you know, you have, you know, legacy writers like, you know, Stan, and of course, you know, Claremont and Bendis and Hickman and Vaughn and Mark Miller, and they've kind of they've kind of steered the community, like where the books have gone for, like, on a whole, so like, which is, you know, such a big deal in scope. I feel like there's not the same type of mindset at DC where they have kind of like one or two hot writers steer where the whole, you know, label and line is going specifically. I feel like there's a little bit less continuity on that front with DC, and that sometimes works to their favor, because I feel like a lot of the stronger and strongest, more well-known DC stories and runs are shit that's completely, you know, a separate or different thing. Like, you know, when Frank Miller tackled Batman Returns, or when Alan Moore did Watchmen, or you know, those famous Superman stories, or A Killing Joke. And so it's kind of just two different thought processes there as far as how to handle and tackle your book runs. I feel like both have done, you know, incredible, you know, results for both companies. And it's always tough because it's always been the age old DC versus Marvel growing up with like Sony and Xbox and Sega and all that. I've always enjoyed Marvel and DC. When I was a kid, I always felt like, oh, the DC books are more like grown up, and the Marvel books are a little bit more for kids. But there's grown up and kid books in both companies, and there's nothing like a great Batman story, and there's nothing like a great Spider-Man story, and you can't get both in one, you know, company. So I've always been a strong proponent of both sides have, you know, amazing stuff to offer. So.
Yeah. So Vinny, so I mean, actually, Anthony, I'm gonna ask you this question, bro.
Yeah.
Preferably, in the state of where we live right now, especially with comics, and we see that, you know, the narrative is actually changing within comics now, and, you know, they basically have it where modern more modern details right now, like Modern Times is being fleshed out in comics, where we see some of the things that we deal with in Modern Times being pushed in really, really pushed hard in comics and stuff like that, like right now. Which, and I'm just like flat out straight to the point, DC or Marvel, which do you prefer?
Well, if you're talking about the last 5 or so years, I've kind of tuned out. Unfortunately, I'm trying to get back in. I don't think either party has really grabbed me back. And I don't know if it's because of what you're mentioning or not, because like on the same token, like I grew up with, like you, man, the Claremont run, X-Men was phenomenal, and it was adult. And you know, the thing about, even when Stan Lee was doing it, right, but especially in Claremont run, they delved into a lot of the social aspects of our society, but they did it in a way that it didn't really feel like a ham-fisted thing. And I think that's why I loved X-Men so much, because it was like, hey, we're all kind of different, and we're all going through things in our own weird way. But we're all working together, and you know, mutants were outcasts, and you know what I'm saying, and the writing was freaking top notch. And so I don't know about lately though, man. Like I said, I don't know what some good runs are lately, man, because like I said, I did tune out. But I think they're both overall really good in their own respects though, right? Like Marvel, I would almost say Marvel's better at doing the long story arcs, and DC was really good at some solo stuff, or short runs, right? But at the same time, DC still did some cool shit, like the Blackest Day, Darkest Night, you know, or like Long Halloween or Noel, the Batman runs, Dark Knight Returns. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's hard, and I think we could probably all agree that they're both amazing in their own rights. I mean, I don't think one's necessarily better than the other, but yeah, man, it's I just love comics, man. You know, at the end of the day, I've just been out of it the past few years though, because are we getting old? Is that what it is? Am I getting old? Because there's so many changes happening. I'm not sure if I'm vibing with it.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I think that what's happening in comics right now is that a lot of stories or a lot of characters or just the IPs are being revamped just for modern times, because they're trying to bring in a totally different audience. They know that we've, you know, it's hard to basically sway us, because we've grown with these characters. We've seen the evolution, and we'll read some of the more modern stories, because like I said, there's stories still to be told. But I think that it's just like you being you know, it's like you being tenured on your job, and you know, basically you've earned such, you know, X amount of money, but they know that they can't retrain you, so they'll try to fade a way to kind of force you in the background, or even force you out and bring in a new, you know, audience where they can kind of program
these guys a little bit less
exactly
money,
exactly. So that's
people.
the same. Exactly. This is what we're seeing in comics right now. Is that, you know, they're switching, but at the same time, it's like what they're doing is they use the art of storytelling to, you know, they do it to, and they'll use certain events to kind of not revamp the character, but kind of course correct certain things that they know they fucked up on when it comes to characters. We see it in both Marvel, we see it in DC. They've done this mainly, you know, for years. Right now, they're actually starting to do that on the new She-Hulk run, because they know that they made that character. It's like, yo, we wanted the original version of She-Hulk, and we're kind of getting that right now.
Yeah,
you know,
because that's what I saw. Like, she was all like monstrous looking, and like I was like, who is this for? This isn't She-Hulk. And so that's why, I mean, things like that I started tuning out. I was like, yo,
so they just recently did a run where they kind of revamped her, because they basically kind of redid a World War Hulk for her type of story.
Okay.
You know, to whereas, you know, for some reason now she was overloaded by a whole bunch of gamma radiation, and she got herself away and, you know, kind of dispelled the radiation. Now she's the Jennifer Walters that we know now. And they put her up against, you know, she was going toe to toe with Submariner, and it was an interesting storyline, but you know, it was their way to kind of go back and course correct what they started with her. So now, you know,
I may check it out then.
Yeah. So, but I mean, here's the thing, like, you know, when I think about it, like, DC's going through a, and they're getting shitted on for it. Like literally, they are literally getting shitted on for it because they're taking a lot of characters now, and I think they are blatantly and visibly. And I'm not saying from a bad standpoint because, like I said, there's space and opportunity for everybody. But I think that they're getting more pushback because they're taking characters, and some people would say like they're forcing a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest thing is like, here's my thing.
Do you feel that way though too?
No. And here's I look. I look at it like, okay, this is something that this was something that was bound to happen anyway. And we were going to see a lot of this fleshed out in books. And I don't have it because the thing is, like me, I'm Mr. Inclusivity. You know what I mean? I love basically to see things included, but it has to be also written well enough to where it isn't blatant.
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean?
In, and then the story
and shoehorned in just to satisfy the status quo. So, Vinny, I'm interested in hearing your take on this because we've seen it a lot. And I know if Jedi Kid was here, bro. Ooh, boy. But I think that's basically what we're seeing right now is a lot of that happening. What do you think?
I think that DC kind of gets more flack for it than Marvel does because Marvel Trojan horses the shit a lot. Whereas they'll have a story with a bunch of things going on, and one of them might being an inclusivity change.
Yeah.
That way, it's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
When DC does it, it's kind of like, all right, let's change something about an existing character, and then
here it is, boom,
and then get all the media outlets to run it a few months ahead of time, so that way that the point is, hey guys, look, we're not sexist, we're not racist, we're not transphobic, we're not homophobic, and that's kind of like great. It's there's weight to that, but I feel like what gets lost sometimes is like, okay, but is the story good? And I feel like Marvel does the same thing, but they're better at hiding their motivations than Disney is sometimes. Disney kind of seems like a little too, hey guys, look at me, look, we're including you guys too. And that's when kind of people start to get the agenda thing. Like, are you doing it just so that you get clout, or are you doing it because you genuinely want to include these types of unrepresented, parts of our world in your book because they have a voice and they belong there, and people want to read stories that are reflective of themselves. But do they want to feel like they're just being thrown a bone, or do you want to feel like, okay, this is this cool story about like Jane Foster, like it wasn't just, oh, here's a girl Thor, it's like she had cancer, there's a whole story to that. It wasn't like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if there's story there. It's like really deep.
There's weight.
It's like there's weight to it, and it's like and as you're reading it, like I'm catching up on Thor now, and it's like it almost like it don't even matter that she's female. It's like the story is just amazing.
The story is just great,
and it's like, okay, and she just happens to be a girl, and I feel like if you're that person who isn't usually included, you would want to feel like you're in that world, but not different or something a freak about you. You're just in that world too. So sometimes when DC does stuff, it's a little heavy-handed and a little, obvious what they're going for. And I guess maybe there's nothing wrong with that to some people who are waiting to get that representation. But I feel like to the point of the negativity, it comes at the look at what we're doing. We're good guys, right? That's kind of how
would you feel. Sorry, go ahead.
No, but that's I feel like that is where they kind of catch more flack for doing the same shit Marvel does. Like Marvel did, but DC gets it right sometimes. Like I Am Batman is dope. Like,
yeah, it is.
That's a black Batman, but it's not like how now Bruce Wayne is black. Like they didn't just do it just to say like get a headline. Yeah. I Am Batman is subtle and it attacks like controversial issues, but it's not like, hey, look, guys, like it's super, super like woke. It's just he just happens to be, and this is a different story, and they they make it work, and it's like clear thought went into how to do it right, as opposed to let's check off this box so that way we're going down the list and making sure that we grab this audience and this audience and this audience that maybe aren't buying our books because Leo and Vinny are going to buy whatever the fuck put in our pull box. We don't have to get them. We have to get the kids who aren't reading to put down the iPad or Fortnite for a minute and come and buy a comic book. That's who they're going after because they got us. So that's what other people don't realize too. They're not always going to be, they're not trying to grab the 40-year-olds who have been reading for 40, 30 years. Right. They're trying to grab kids who have 40, 50, 100 other media things grabbing their attention, from video games to internet to TikTok. They're trying to grab that audience.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be said though.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Like I know this is kind of unrelated, but it harkens. I always go back to this, and I go back to Star Trek, and I go back to the original series. When the original series came out, it's like you already had that. You had a diverse, especially then. The whole cast was from all over. Didn't matter what race you were, where your ethnicity was, and it was just implied, hey, we're all together.
But comics weren't and aren't.
Well, I mean, X-Men kind of too, right? I mean, think when they did like the giant size X-Men.
Even within X-Men. Yeah, you have people who look like
you brought in Storm, you brought in Colossus.
Right, but you have think about it. Even within X-Men, you have like Bishop and Storm and Cecilia. Like you have maybe 4 black people in all of the thousands of X-Men. And DC, like I was talking to Leo, like they're making a lot of the Bat family, black in these films because they don't have Misty Knight. They don't have Okoye, like they don't have these characters to pull from, so they're changing existing characters because over the years
they don't have to do that.
They haven't thought. They haven't really thought about it.
When Miles came out, they weren't like, "Hey, here's a black Spider-Man."
But
there wasn't this press. It's like, "Oh, here's a new character. The story's fucking dope. Everybody's into it. Nobody." That's where I'm saying,
but that is what they're trying to do. It's just the way that they're handling it, because absolutely they were trying to say here's a black Spider-Man. It's just they weren't going about it like
but now we see that point. A lot, right? Like we see these headlines, our first whatever it's like, well, wait, what's the story?
And it's a slippery slope, because if you are black, then you might be like, oh shit, there's now a black Spider-Man, let me go check that out. To someone who's not that, it seems like, oh man, like they're, and I know this from talking to people who are excited about homophobic homophobic issues where a character is turning gay, but yet if you're a gay, you might be like, oh shit, cool, Iceman is gay now. And it's, to me, it feels like just a grab or to check off a box, but to that person, it might be like, okay, cool, let me go check that comic out. And that might be a new reader to them. Whereas I'm already reading it, checking it out, like, okay, cool, where are they going with this? But to that community, it could be like, wow. Or female issues, like they could make, like Captain Carter, to me, is just like, oh, okay, that was a cool story. But like there's women who are like, oh my God, I would love to see a Captain Carter. They look at it differently. And I sometimes have to stop and put myself in, that sometimes
in their shoes,
in their shoes.
I see what you mean by being,
what I mean? Like to us, it feels like disingenuous, right? But to them, they might feel like there's no way that they can just slip this in subtly and get the new readers and buyers unless they make a big deal of it to try to reach people who wouldn't normally be reading the comics anyways. And that's what's tough too. Like, because sometimes DC does it with fireworks. And
so you feel like they're throwing it out there to the public and letting them know because they may never know.
It's kind of like the way they do it seems off-putting to me a bit, and because it's like, look what we're doing. However, they probably feel, and in some cases may genuinely be right, that without the fanfare, maybe people who weren't reading, like if they make a change to Timothy Drake, you and I will know because we're in the community. We read comics, and even if we
Yeah.
aren't reading Batman at that time, we're gonna hear about it because we hear about all the geek shit, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't read comics and you just are on like, you know, have a geek page on your Facebook because you like some of the movies or whatever, that headline pops up on your Facebook and it's like, oh shit, that would be kind of cool if you're a gay kid who wants to like read more comics and just feel like, man, fuck comics. There's, you know, they don't have any gay characters. It's not for me. That might reach that person who wouldn't even know that they made that change to him.
Yeah.
So it feels superfluous and a little disingenuous sometimes in the way they promote it to try to feel like they're, you know, and have an agenda. But
Yeah.
Social media probably doesn't help, right?
Sometimes
Then everything
right.
gets sensationalized.
Exactly. Sometimes the way we see stuff on social media isn't necessarily how it's. Yeah, sometimes it's like, if it wasn't for social media, how would we have heard this back in the day? A Wizard article?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it seems like, and if we're, I don't know, I feel like they're trying to get readers who aren't reading. So when they fucking are reaching and really trying to make a big splash, to us it sounds like, yeah, all right, calm down, we get it. You're trying to do better. You don't need to, promote it, right? But they're you know, and even just talking about it, that's probably what they're trying to do. They're trying to reach people who wouldn't know.
And that's the thing. I think one of the biggest things. Here's my thing. It's like, you can. We talk about this constantly. Like, tell a good story. Give us a good story run. Give us something that. Here's the thing. It's just like, when it's forcefully done to the point where you can blatantly see it and you see beyond the story, that's when it's wrong. When you see it outside of the actual story and you're not paying too much attention to the story, you're paying attention to these characters because they're forcefully just making it openly. They're putting it out there openly for you to gravitate to. But the meat of the story is being missed because you're putting so much emphasis on the narrative there. Right. Whereas if you blend them both together, I'm pretty sure you can tell a great, great story without basically forcing the narrative. I don't need to know basically that this character is black and is represented, is a representation of a black person or a black man, whatever.
Yeah.
I already know that if you tell a really good, solid story and give us the backstory. If the story is good, it doesn't make. The thing is, I don't need. Look, culturally, I stand by my culture and I'm proud to be who I am. But who I am wouldn't define me as a hero, if that makes sense. Because the thing is, I can be an asshole. I could be a complete asshole of an actual character. Me being an asshole, does my color have anything? You know what I mean? Like, no. People could just be genuinely assholes. So what I'm saying is, the story itself, the story is what's important to us, not the color of a person's skin. It is the story. We will find representation of a person in the story if the story is written well. If you're relying on that character, that means that, to me, you're cheapening the story and your writing skills up to par. That is what makes people like Chris Claremont, Bendis, all these other individuals out there who basically write. Even, I mean, come on, man. I mean, Geoff Johns, because that run that he actually had on Jon Stewart was phenomenal. Phenomenal. He wrote a really decent story about Jon Stewart that I completely loved, and it was phenomenal. And it wasn't hearkening to the story. It wasn't about him being black. It was about him being a good soldier. It was about him basically being an individual who was smart, strategic, and one that should have had that leadership role. And basically, you see that character is extremely incredible. But I think that now we live in an era where writers are more so subjected to the agenda. They want you to basically see the agenda first and then expect you to say, okay, cool, now that you see this, now read the story. But we're already wrapped up in that, and you've already caused controversy with this, that the story just takes a back seat.
Yeah, if you make a character gay, that's great. But if the whole point of that run was to see a panel where he's kissing another dude, but yet the story sucks, then even if you brought in new readers, they're gonna be like, "Well, this was cool." Next. But if the story was great, you're gonna be like, "This is a great character, great story," and he just happened to have a panel where he's kissing. Because in typical in comics, like, no one reads Spider-Man because there's a panel where he kisses Mary Jane. Like, it's just part of the story in general. Like there's we have that luxury of there being many stories of certain types where that's just run with it. So you don't
Yeah.
want to see it just focus on here's something to just grab you in. But if you don't have a story or substance to keep you there, once you get in that new reader who is like, oh, okay, cool, a black and Hispanic Spider-Man, great. But if Miles' story wasn't as good as it was, then that just would have been a flash in the pan. And that's why we've seen this work sometimes, and we've seen it not work, other times. And usually it has to, depends on the weight and the quality of the story. When it's a good story, then great.
Yeah, but why is it now?
Why is
That's
it
what I
now?
don't understand. Why is it now? I mean, we had like Blade was freaking awesome, right? Nobody, it was never even an issue.
Yeah.
Nothing was. Blade was badass, yet Storm was badass. Both.
Yeah.
And female. Nobody was like touting this shit. Like reading comics growing up, we were introduced to heroes and villains from all walks of life, and nobody once was ever like, I trying to signal it. It's like, and the stories were phenomenal. So it's like, what changed? That's what I don't get. Are they just bankrupt with ideas and they need to?
People were buying comics back then.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but that's like up and down, right? Marvel was bankrupt. I don't know how many times. Like,
yeah,
so
but
I don't know.
I feel like that there's, comics often reflect the world around us, and the world around us right now is filled with social issues and everyone having a voice in social media and equality and everybody's community wanting to be heard, and that's just like in any other era of comics, it's going to be represented. So when you have all these social issues dominating headlines and social media, it's only natural to make sense that it's going to spill out into movies and film and music and comic books. So it makes sense. I mean, I to some degree, it's an interesting change of pace from just 14 different gold foil covers being what grabs you in. So, I mean, there's always been gimmicks in comics to grab you in.
Sure, but is it now, do you think now it's, hey, we're just doing this shock value, we just want you to buy that one issue so we get some sales? Because what you're saying there too, on the other side of the spectrum, is there's a bajillion variants now for like every comic, and I don't know if it's because they're just trying to come up with money, because you don't need all those variants, bro. They'll perfect
the variants,
point. I think it's all about story though.
The variants from a business standpoint, because my comic guy has a brick and mortar, and he's a good friend of mine. That's incentive to order more pre-orders, because a lot of times for every like 25 orders a comic book shop will order, they'll get a variant which they could then sell in their store. So sometimes that's just a business mechanic and gimmick. And I mean, sometimes it gets us some really cool art that we wouldn't normally see. So I get it.
No, and to that I get. I mean, like I've got like my retailer incentive X-Force 1. I'm sure you're familiar with that. So we got our own copy, for our comic book store, because that's where I worked for like 10 years. So I like that. And some variants are cool. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like lately I've been seeing a ton of variants for just
tons.
Every issue. And I'm like, yo, I know you guys want to make money, but if you're going to just spit out a ton of variants and then try to ham fist this in, it's not working. Just get good writers, bro, and you're going to make a ton of money.
And you're going to make money. I see we got a $4.99 super chat by DJ, and I think some people get distracted by the filter of culture associated to skin color when interpreting the story. Marketing then takes the second to give notes. It takes a second to give notes, I guess. I think I understand what you're saying. I think here's the thing. It's like I have, all right, for instance, I'll give you an example. I have friends that are gay. You know what I mean? I have friends that are straight. I have basically but the thing is, even in talking to the individual, you're so invested in their story that you don't look at them and say, "Oh, you're part of that particular community." No, you're my friend and you have a really good story, and I like basically listening to you talk, and I consider you a friend, and we're associated. We're really cool. You're not basically throwing that flamboyancy out in front of my face. You're not saying I'm this, I'm that, whatever. No, you're not doing it to make a point. You're just saying that you've been through a lot of things, and this is basically where you sit. And I like, you know what? I respect that.
I am who I am.
You are who you are, because I am who I am as a black man, and pretty much all of us are. Like, the thing is, the art of storytelling is to see beyond the person. It's to see beyond that person and who they are. It's what they do. It's how they are represented within society. What they do to basically what place how they fit. It's not about their personal preferences. You know what I mean? And I think that what we, a lot of it's we're getting caught up in the industry now where a lot of writers, just they feel like it's something that has to be forced based on, and it might even be the industry itself saying, okay, you have to put this there. We need this because right now it's relevant. Because when you do stuff like that, you're looking for relevancy. I'm going to wonder whether or not you're really being genuine. Are you being genuine? Or are you just doing it to make a couple of dollars? Because that's what it seems like right now. Readers are not dumb, because it doesn't seem like you're being genuine when you're doing it. Just give us a story and let us decipher for ourselves. Marvel does a good job, basically. I mean, right? Because if you're reading Powers of X, if you're reading, pretty much everything right now, they have their own content. Yeah, Powers of X is new. So basically, like I said, bro, right now, House of X, Powers of X, Xavier, Krakoa, which we know basically was a living continent. Now Krakoa is been taken over by the X-Men. It's their own continent. They make their own rules. No one is allowed unless they want. We're seeing Xavier in a totally different light, and it's all walks of life. Whether you're gay, straight, Native American, it's all walks. They welcome all in. They're mutants, and they segregate themselves from the world because they are different, and they can do it. It's a well-written story, and it's really, really, and the thing is, like I said, we are coming up on an event this summer where it's going to be the X-Men versus the Avengers versus the Eternals. I cannot basically wait for that. It's going to be an amazing run. What Marvel has basically done lately is, yes, we know that there's agendas out there, but they haven't really focused too much on the agenda. They're focusing more on the story, trying to push that. Whereas it seems like DC is doing certain things to satisfy, and it may come across disingenuous to people who live a certain lifestyle, people who are of an actual ethnicity. It comes across disingenuous at that point, because it's like, are you just writing it to make a couple of dollars? And that's what I think basically DC is doing in that aspect. What do you think about that, Vinny?
I feel like it, like I said, I think it's a different way that they're promoting what they're doing. I think they're doing it and not just being satisfied with making a change. I think that they're trying to reach people who wouldn't necessarily hear about it, and that coming off as a bad look to us, but necessary to reach the people that they're trying to reach. But to me, I agree. Like, that's how it looks. I mean, it's a bad look sometimes. It seems like really like, it feels like it feels disingenuous indeed. But I feel like it's a lose-lose sometimes too, because if they don't do it, then it feels like they're not trying to change and grow as a company and be more inclusive too. So it's kind of like they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. And I'm glad that even if they're doing it wrong, that they're trying. Hopefully they're learning from it and figuring out a way to do things different and better. Like, I feel like I Am Batman is doing the same type of shit as like Jonathan Kent or Tim Drake, but I feel like it's a better example of trying to do the same thing, but
like doing it the right way.
And for me, right, it might not be the right way for somebody who wouldn't necessarily hear about Jonathan Kent if it wasn't for the BuzzFeed article that they put out over Facebook. They might not even know if it wasn't for that. So that might have been successful. What disingenuous to me might have been successful marketing for them. And I don't have all the answers. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion, that what works for it looks bad to me, but it might. And it's not that the decision was bad. It's just like sometimes it's like, okay, if you're doing it just to say that you did it, that's a different story than that you really want or feel like these are changes that you really genuinely wanted to see in your books, or you feel like you're just doing
Yeah,
things.
because a lot of times it's something and it's a quick thing and then it's over. It's like a shock value. They just did something to do
Like
it.
I like it when it's just like, okay, like this, but there is a lot that DC is doing right too. Like there's a lot of like
Yeah.
just I feel like both companies throw a lot of shit at the wall to see what sticks. And I feel like DC maybe just does it a little bit more, so there's a little bit more misses and they get a little bit more of a bad rap. But it's tough though, because when DC is on fire, like when DC hits, it fucking hits, man. There's nothing better than a really great Batman story.
Yeah.
So if there's like
Yeah,
18,
that is true.
you know what I mean? So if there's like if they do 20 different fucking Bat books in a year and like 2 or 3 of them are just stellar, then who cares about the 18 hour misses? You know what I mean? It's like that Batman story that's stellar might
Well,
be
maybe if you're a
legacy
Batman fan,
story.
you know,
But
if
no,
you're like shit,
but
I'm getting shit after shit after
you get
shit.
shit after shit, and that's kind of what it feels like sometimes as a Bat reader, especially because like if you're like me, man, my guy will give me, if it's Bat Family, like he'll put it in and see if I want it. Spider-Man Family, he'll put it in and see if I want it. So like if you're reading that, maybe it feels like, man, there's so much crap here, but then when there's something like great story,
Yeah.
the legacy Batman stories tend to be like, I mean, known forever. You used to movie, like, you know what I mean? When Batman's good, it's great. So it's like it's tough to really knock
Well, it
that.
all comes
the
down to
effort.
story,
Yeah.
right?
When it's done,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
I
and
would
it's
say look at Spider-Man,
Yeah.
right?
But there's so much fucking
No Way
Spider-Man.
Home.
No Way Home.
The
is,
movie
like,
itself
phenomenal.
was freaking phenomenal because there was nothing. It was just a cool story.
Yeah.
There was no message there. There was no like everybody got entertained. They're like, dude, I went in. This was a freaking amazing story. It was a fun movie, and everybody left, and it was just great.
Yeah.
That's what I'm feeling like. If you just give us a good story, let things happen organically, no one's gonna have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think,
mean,
and the thing is, if you like for right now, like one of the runs that I'm highly interested in, one of the runs that is I'm gravitating towards right now is Devil Reign, the Devil's Reign, with Kingpin and Daredevil and stuff like that. And I think there's an issue, and there's put it this way, there's a story to be told within a story. There's certain things in it that you're like, okay, I see where they're going with it, but the story is so well done, you don't see the agenda at all. You don't see it. Like you don't see it because the story is well written. And that's what I'm talking about. Like they're not blinding you by the content. They're not telling you that, where this is where we're going. We're telling you where we're going. We're showing you where we're going, but we're giving you a good story that you can follow along with these characters, and we're not dumbing it down. And we're not taking away from these characters. That's what makes this it's incredible. Like it really is. You could tell that the last couple of years is, that what we've gone through in modern times now in reality is being fleshed out in this book. So
what you're talking about, I just looked up because I'm, like I said, I'm a little behind, and I respect your guys' opinions on what's going on lately. Is this if I'm reading this right, is it a 6-issue run?
What, Devil's Reign?
Mm-hmm.
It's
just looking at this cover, it just said 1 of 6, so I don't know if it's
it is, but there's also side stories, and of course, like
the main books.
spin-offs,
so
and
like
then you have the main
that
book.
connect to it, and like Civil War was like 190 something comics.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Really,
and you really only need to read the 12. I mean,
you only need to read this exactly.
The other ones were great and tied into it because it was such a big story. But that's the way a good crossover run works. I love a crossover where here's 1 to 10, 1 to 6, whatever issue, and then
and here's what else is happening in the
here's
world.
what else is happening in those side stories, and if you don't read them, you're good. As opposed to like when you do a crossover event, it's like here's Spider-Man 300, and then the next part is in Fantastic Four 87. Like you have to get all those fucking books, and a lot of times you have books that you never would have picked up, and I get it. That's their point, but
that was their goal, right? You could go pick up this Ghost Rider.
That
happened to be in Civil War and see what's going on with him.
And
maybe
which
you never
is cool
read
if it's
Ghost
a
Rider.
side two story, but when it's actually part of the story where you're gonna be lost if you don't get that issue, that's when it's like, oh man, y'all got me.
Well, I may check that one out then if you think
Definitely.
that's good.
It is. It's good. $1.99 super chat by DJ N. I'm agreeing with y'all, just giving reasons for the probes. No, I definitely, I completely understand. Like, I mean, there's a lot going on right now within DC that they need a major course correction. Because the thing is, as outsiders, we shouldn't be able to see so much of what's going on in the inside. like literally, like, and that's what we're basically seeing. And I think that a lot of what's happening in the film is being influenced in comics, like, and it should be the other way around, but this is what we basically see happening. It happens the same way, especially with and not to really jump too deep into it, with Black Panther, where we're seeing now that we're getting a totally different iteration of Black Panther now, based on,
I
you
hate
know,
when Marvel does that shit. Like when they changed
What,
up
in the comics
Yeah.
or what?
yeah, like when they
yeah,
like when they changed up Pietro and Wanda being Magneto's kids just because they couldn't be in the movies. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, did they change it? See, in my head, I'm like, no.
Well, basically, what they did with Wanda and Pietro is that they've said that they're not,
mutants.
you know, they're not mutants. They're
They switched back, right? They switched back once they bought Fox.
yeah. So they basically made them Inhumans.
Mhm.
So they said basically they're inhuman children, you know, that were affected by the Terrigen. Because what happened was
No.
Wanda, this happened way back with Wanda. She cast a spell to say that everybody within her bloodline would pass or be affected, and Magneto was not affected at all. The only one that was affected was Pietro, which she, you know, helped bring back.
So
But
they're just gonna erase the whole House of M and Avengers Disassembled, and
sort of, but they tried to course correct it with House of M and Powers of M just now, like recently. They tried
so
to,
it's
you
a
know,
recent-
kind of create.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a reset.
It will
that
always be
changed-
Magneto's children
Oh,
to me.
But that change was made
So-
before they bought Fox and got X-Men
Mhm.
back and everything. So it was basically like them trying to. This was an era where Disney and Marvel was trying to kind of downplay the X-Men stories because all the X-Men stories were going right into.
Yeah, they killed
Fox
Wolverine.
News. Yeah,
You know,
that
they had
was-
that death of
Yeah,
Wolverine.
'cause
They
they-
weren't selling They weren't selling any X-Men toys.
They didn't want
No-
they didn't want
nothing.
they didn't want new mutants being created because it was a pipeline. If Marvel
Yeah.
Comics created a new mutant, they were allowed to be used in their movie. So it was just like feeding them, and they didn't want them to eat.
Yeah. We got another super chat real quick, which is a good one. This is Lizzie Venus. Do you guys read Task Force Z? It's phenomenal.
I'm not up on that. No.
Yo,
I've
it's
not heard of
decent. Get it? It's a decent run. Like literally, yeah, Lizzie, I'm with you. Task Force Z, very decent. I actually, because you know what, I picked it up on a whim. I went to my local comic shop, and you know, pretty much found it. He actually recommended it first, and then I started reading it. And I was like, okay, this is pretty decent, bro. Like, it's pretty much sort of like on Orthodox. It's basically written by like Matthew Rosenberg. You know, it's, you gotta, without really giving away for people who basically want to read it, but you got like a misfit house of like a team of characters, but yo, it's very decent. Like I do love it. So Lizzie, thank you for mentioning that. Like I do love it. But yeah, I mean all in all, like, man, I mean, I think right now, and the reason why I want to have this discussion is because, you know, we're seeing, like, you know, when people kind of contribute some of the successes between both IPs. I wanted to talk about not just in film, but just in, you know, from a reader standpoint. When we go pick up these comics, what we come to expect, you know, from the source. Because the thing is, we got to keep in mind, like, it's crazy because a lot of writers that we grew up with, even their take on, because if you hear like someone said, like, you know, with Chris Claremont's, you know, when you listen to him, like, you know, he has a podcast, he has like his own social. When you listen to him, he talks about like just people would even probably peg it as him being just like a disgruntled writer when it comes to stuff that he reads now, and it's not. He's just saying that evolution, when you see basically these writers now and how they're writing material, you know that their hand has been forced, and I believe that. Like, I believe it. Like, their hand has been forced because they're trying to catch up to the times instead of just, or be a part of what's happening, and it's causing the story to, like, really, you know, it's dumbing that story down in a sense. So he talks a lot about that, bro. And I think, and I believe it. Like, I mean, Marvel's winning right now because, number one, they have films, great films that are supporting and that do draw off of source material, which causes new subscribers, people who have actually seen these films for the first time, to go back and read some of the source material. so it's gaining a new audience. Whereas DC, I don't know, like they're so mixed up, like which going back, recreating or correcting and just restarting the franchise. So whereas like you had readers who were reading and following along with you, but then you just go back and change everything and just starting back from ground zero and expecting those same readers to not really understand, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
That's kind of why I tuned out, man. I was tired of all these damn reboots. New
yeah,
52,
it's like always
Rebirth.
reboots. Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
what the hell, man? Just give us a good story. They're like, we fucked up. Let's reboot it all.
yeah.
Like, and we
Yeah.
didn't really have that very often back in the day.
No, it wasn't a lot of reboots back in the day. It was just and it's tough because I think a big part of it was the Ultimate line success, like Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men. Those brought in a lot of new readers who gave them a new starting point, and it was very successful. And a lot of a lot of stories are trying to like re-emulate that by here's bringing in a new new readers and starting over at one. And then the funny thing is always is like, but then you get up to like issue 700, and instead of number 18 in this new run, now it's 700, and then it goes back to like 19. It's like you wanted that big, hey, here's this new, here's issue 1000 or 500 or whatever the milestone issue would be. But there's definitely that problem in comics in general. They're constantly trying to, it's a struggling industry that's always trying to bring in new readers, and it's just extremely frustrating as a comic book reader and comic book movie fan to watch the industry that sparks everything that we all love about these shows and movies wouldn't exist if it wasn't for this print media. And if that goes away, then there's a finite amount of stories and things that are going to be around, and then we're going to have the suits making up the stories in the future, and nobody wants that. We want that source material around, and so many new movies or stories or whatever have pulled from new comics. So it's not like all the good movies that are out there are pulling from Kirby and Stan stuff. They're pulling from Mark Miller stuff that he just wrote last year or the year. Like there's new stuff that's being made into great properties as well. So comics are still really important. I mean, almost to
it's still relevant. Definitely still relevant.
It's so relevant. Yeah. And I mean, when a comic is like, I'm catching up on reading now, and I'm having so much fun catching up because comics are still just so good when it's good.
Yeah.
So it's like it's frustrating that there's not a bigger transition.
There's nothing like laying back at night either, and just pulling out a comic or 3 or 10, and there's nobody around.
Respect you. Yeah, I mean, I wish more people would respect. Like they love a movie, but they wouldn't read the comic, and it's like but there's not that. I mean, it's the same thing with.
It's like you expect the film to fulfill years of greatness within reading. Like there's no film. I don't care how good the MCU is right now. None of those films can ever touch the source material because there was so much richness in the source material. There's richness there, and you follow along with these characters, and on top of that, you just got really great stories. No matter how much time was and was spent reading these books and months of waiting till like the next issue dropped.
Yes,
it still, and that's the wait. The anticipation of that next book
story.
drop and the next story, that was perfect. It was the best. That's what comics give you.
And there's a reason why comic book readers do want to see, the source material respected and want to see good stories on screen. It's because we've invested so much time and love and energy into these characters that, just like somebody who grew up a Harry Potter fan would want to see, Danny Radcliffe be cast by somebody who they'd like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And do it. It's the same thing with when you see a book that you love on screen. It's amplified times, 80 years with comics. You want to see, and there's a reason why, like when you do it right, you're going into that movie with not just, this character was good in this movie. You're going in with what you already bring into it of years of being a fan of that. Of that source material.
Do you feel the MCU did that at any point? Like for me, I would say out of all the movies we've seen so far, it was Captain America, the first Avenger.
As far
I
as
felt like that was really close in a sense of like, okay, I went and saw that in the theater and I left and I was like, dude, okay, that was dope. Like I felt like that worked, you know, going into the World War II and him crashing. I mean, it's slightly different, obviously, because we've read the comics, but I don't feel that way about a lot of the MCU movies. As fun as they are, right? I get what you guys are saying. I don't know if very many movies can capture that, you know, like that.
I feel a bunch of them have tried to kind of, you know, made it for new audiences, but definitely with a lot of nods to people that have been reading for a long time. I feel like a lot of the Marvel films have. I think that's why a lot of those movies have been such big successes, because you don't have, I mean, like a film could be completely different from the comic and source material and be a hit, no doubt. But I feel like it's an easier recipe for success if you are satisfying the casual, I mean the readers first with the casual fans in mind, as opposed to the casual fans first with the readers as an afterthought. When the casual fans are an afterthought, because the readers are going to be the ones that go see it 3-4 times, tell other people about it. I mean, anytime, and I'm sure everybody who's in this chat is a geek and has somebody who isn't, ask them how a comic movie was, because they would know.
Right. See, that's why I didn't like the X-Men movies. I didn't like one single X-Men movie because I grew up, I don't know, maybe I don't know, but you know, I grew up reading it for years and years and years. And then
it's hard to basically watch how they've dumbed down. Like Rogue should not have been dumbed down in any of those films. And that was my biggest gripe about it. As much, okay, yes, Hugh Jackman was great, but there's no way a 6'2" dude, you know what I mean, should have been Wolverine.
No,
like straight up, like it's just it's so much, you know. Yeah, it's just. But again, you know, it's each their own, and I get it. But come on, man, like literally, and that's why I said in Feige we trust, and this is why I think he's taking his time. I think he's taking his time. We are
gonna get that X-Men.
Yeah, we will.
I'm loving that Fantastic Four is coming first, though.
Yes,
that's
dude, hell yeah, that is
the family.
That is the binding
Fantastic Four. I've wanted for so long, and I've always loved the Fantastic Four books. It's one of the first books I got into as a kid, and there's so many legendary Fantastic Four stories. And I think one of the coolest parts about Fantastic Four is like they're a family. It's not just a bunch of, not just a bunch, right? It's not. They're not a group that were brought together by their accident. They're already a family. So it's. I mean, there's so much.
They just have to do Doom the right way.
They have to do Doom. They got it, and they got to get somebody who doesn't need to take his mask off. Mask is on. It's fucking Doom. But you know, we'll see. Fantastic Four. I just hope they don't fuck it up, man. Like they can go later on too. They could take that shit down the road and hit the Hickman run. They'll do like the Future Foundation. Bring in Spidey. Now we're gonna get a white, Spidey's Future Foundation. You know what I'm saying? I'm just thinking about how amazing. I want to see Johnny and Pete on a skyscraper just kick.
Yes.
Just kicking it. I mean, it's one of the oldest friendships in comics. Human Torch and Spider-Man have been friends forever. Like Daredevil to a lesser extent, but Human Torch and Spider-Man. I want to see them friends for no reason. Like for no reason. Like, they don't always. They rarely even team up and fight together. They boys. That's so dope because like they'll have a crossover in each other's story and not even to fight a villain, but just to like
kick it. Like they're just kind of around,
like, yo, man, I'm going through this.
Chilling.
Yeah. Like, man, like, I mean,
just having like a natural conversation. And that's it.
Like there's a story where there's like Pete goes and grabs Franklin to take him for a hot dog after Johnny died in the comics because that was one of his best friend, and he takes him to buy a hot dog, and then he's like, actually, you got any money? Like, I ain't got no money on him. And he was like, your uncle was my best friend. And it was like, and he would tell him, and he told him stories about his uncle and shit like that. And it's like, Spider-Man is a big part of Fantastic Four. I love that they have the opportunity now to do so many. I mean, it's the four, man. Like,
I can't wait to Fantastic Four drop.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like I said, I mean, they know the anticipation is high for it. I just can't.
And you want to talk about strong female characters? Invisible Woman is one of the goats. One of the goats of all
time. Can you imagine a Reed Richards hot toy? If they did it?
It's how they would do it. Like, they would probably have to have the appendages, like you would have to unplug the arms and then put other ones in.
Just use
the
the venom tendrils, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
and just
yeah. But before we go, before we round out this, I want to bring up one other thing because we didn't really talk about it, but I want to actually bring it up. So let me see here. Yeah, I wanted to bring this up because I just want your thoughts on it. Do you think there's potential here, or do you think it's going to be a flop? Or, just your thoughts generally on this piece. It was revealed the other day. I thought it was pretty decent because they're going back to like just the actual original version or comic book version of her. This is Leslie Grace as Batgirl. I love it. I love it. I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. I love the suit. I love the color. And when I look at this and I look at the purple, it looks like basically a motorcycle suit, which means we might see her on the bike, like we should.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What do you think about this, Vinny? I mean, does this give you like hope for the show?
All right. So.
Or for the movie, that is. I'm sorry.
Right. At first, I was like, it looks a slightly low budget, but this isn't a theater movie. This is an HBO Max movie, right?
Yes.
So
well, rumors is that Discovery is thinking about ditching that whole idea about the HBO Max and putting this out as a film.
Okay. I mean, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I feel like if it's, her first suit, it would make sense if you get a biker suit and put a fucking logo on it if you're going to be going out there to fight crime. It makes sense. I'm not the hugest fan of the suit in the comics in general, but I like it. I always, I thought it was a strong design and it looks really good here. I wish it would have been like a smooth jacket as opposed to the lines, the creases, but that's like the most ridiculous minor gripe. Otherwise, it's dope. But what I really love is I love that cowl. That cowl is like the best looking bat cowl other than like, for non-Batman that we've seen. That's really, really good. I mean, it looks like it's drawn on.
The cowl. Let me bring it up real quick because I did that. That's one of the things I did really, really like about this suit is that the cowl really does. Look at that, bro. It looks good.
Man. Yeah, it's a like straight out of the Burnside run. It's great. It's like I mean, I'm excited that they got a comic book look without being apologetic about it. I'm really wishing that down the line maybe we get Cassandra Cain. That's my girl. That's my girl, and it hurts every time they do a background and it's not Cassandra.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I don't really know what the backstory is. I've been out of the loop as far as the movie because it seems weird. Like we've talked about a little bit before. Like this is supposed to be the
She hinted that it's year one.
The J.K. Simmons daughter, not the Jeffrey Wright daughter. But it's like, okay, well, we'll see. I'm sure they'll have some explanation of it or whatever. But we'll see. I mean, I'm looking forward to it's the Bat Family. I'm gonna check it out. You know what I mean. So
and you remember, Vinny, a few years back. I used to hate. And the thing is, already I was a Batman hater for a minute.
You were. We used to go round and round on it.
It wasn't because the thing is, I've always been a Batman fan. But I was
You didn't hate Batman. You hated the Batman stands. You just didn't realize it.
The stands. That's what it was. I hated the stands, but I also hated the latest iteration and how they wrote him. They've toned it down now. but how they wrote him because the IP was popular. I hated it.
Yeah.
I've always loved Batman. I've always loved the Bat family. I've always loved the storyline, but it's
Yeah.
just how the new writers came in and how they would justify certain stories based on the current IP as far as film.
Yeah.
That's what I hated. That's the only thing that I hated about it, because they gave him, it's like they made him God level with it was like too much. It was too much.
But see, there are some but it was working because the Batman fans like I was eating it up. Like I'm one of those Batman stands, but I'm not to the point where I think Batman could be anybody. It's just where I just look at it as like, who's Superman's number one villain? A human being. So it's like, if you have a good writer, you can justify anyone beating anyone. And I always appreciated that about Batman, as it takes kind of a creative writer to figure out how Batman would beat fucking Darkseid. But you know, it is weird that sometimes you had him beating that level of character like again and again and again for such a strong run. But but what's frustrating is, but that's Batman in the comics and in the animated shows. But in the movies, he don't do none of that shit. He's just a fucking brawler who just punches people and yells, and he has no strategy or intelligence. So there's a balance to the world. You got Batman OP in comics, and in the movies, not so much.
Yeah. Anthony, what you think about this, bro?
Honestly, I'm thinking it's looking pretty damn cool, man. I really like that. Like you guys mentioned, the cowl. The colors pop. It reminds me of back in the day, right? You got that kind of purple and that yellowish gold. I mean, it looks freaking sweet, dude. I think she looks great. Is this the only picture we've seen so far? But this looks great, man. That's one of my big problems with a lot of these shows, is that they don't always nail, the costumes. They look a little, you know what I mean? They don't quite look great, but I feel like this looks phenomenal. Like if this was a hot toy right now, I would probably get it.
Oh hell yeah!
You know what I mean? Like
it
looks great. I just hope we'll see what happens. Is this something that's going to be going on for a while? Is she eventually going to become Oracle? I mean, I don't know what this is.
That's yet to be determined. They really haven't said too much about that. Again, I don't know.
Maybe a while if they do.
I don't even. It's DC. It's the DCEU. I have no idea what world this is set in. If it's even set in like the same
That's
world.
what's weird with them. DC's all over the place, man.
I don't know if it's set in. I don't know if it's set in what universe it's set in, and that's going to be a problem that they eventually run into, because it's kind of like, I remember when somebody said back in the day about, they should cast the Smallville kid as Superman, and people were like, nah, that will confuse people. Look at DC now. Like, it's so much shit going on. It's not all one universe, and but I don't know, but it's not even always clear to the average person that it's not all one universe. Like there's people who are like don't quite understand why Joaquin Phoenix Joker isn't in the Justice League movie and Jared Leto is. Like it's really confusing.
Right, it confuses people. Yeah,
if you're not a comic book fan, you wouldn't know what the fuck is going on. So I don't even know what world background this is to say that it's likely that she'll eventually be in Killing Joke stories or Oracle later down the line, or if she's who knows what is going on with her. But as far as Cosmic goes, I love that this is a rare moment where they said, hey, it's cool in the comic, let's just put it on the screen, as opposed to let's make it our own.
And Anthony, like when we see people like us, bro, it's strange. Like people out there in the community and in the chat, the first thing we think about when we see stuff like this is what? Hot toy. We always think about a 1/6 scale figure. Like it's like, we gotta have this shit. Like we literally gotta have it. Like the first thing I think about, like even like single songwriter was like, make the Hot Toys, make this figure and also give us the bats. Like this is the first thing I was thinking when I saw it. Yeah, it's like just give it to us.
Y'all are WWHTD. Like what will Hot Toys do?
Yeah.
Dude, it's so ingrained into my head. I'm watching shit that's not even related, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you're watching some other TV show and you're like, oh, that would be a dope Hot Toy.
Yeah, right? It's the first thing you see. And then also to know that we are getting Keaton in this series as well. Oh, so he's going to actually be a part of it as well. So that's what I'm saying. Like they are really milking the Keaton, but I'm not mad at it.
It's so funny. It's kind of like, I would love to be in a WB boardroom. It's like, hey, what do we do? We got to make sure this thing's a hit. I don't know. Why don't we just sprinkle in some Michael Keaton Batman? Like it's
Yeah,
just
but they
not
should have
after
just done
fucking
Terry McGinnis then, you know?
yeah,
Like we should
yeah.
just got a Batman Beyond and had
Yeah.
Keaton as Who
Who would have
knows?
thought that after all this time of how's it long? How long has it been? Like 15 years of people saying they should do Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton, and now we're gonna get Michael Keaton as a mentor, but it's going to be for a black Batgirl. Who had that on their bingo card?
Yeah.
Nobody. Like
know.
it's so interesting and a different change. It's like okay. I feel like I don't know if we're ever gonna get Batman Beyond.
I want a Captain Morgan.
Captain Morgan.
Yeah, right. I feel that. Anyway, everybody, thank you for coming through. It's been a good night. We have actually reached the 2-hour mark. I'm getting tired. And on top of that, like I said, with these colds, we're old men. We can't exist around here too much longer. But it's been a great discussion, and thank everybody for participating. We held the fort down. Brendan, get better. Again, happy birthday, Jedi Kid, man. Can't wait to see you back next week.
Yo.
Definitely. Vinny, what you got coming up next, bro?
Man, hopefully no snow for a minute. That'd be nice. More reading. Just more reading, catching up on reading. I'm binging through some Thor now. I just finished catching completely up on Batman and a few other books. And I'm looking forward to I'm bouncing back between Marvel and DC, and I'm just reading and drawing. So
Definitely
doing a break.
Definitely, man. And if you haven't already, actually log on again, Vincent Dunn Art. Some great stuff over there. Also, you can find a link to his store where you can pick up a lot of his pieces. I'm telling you, it's crazy. So you do want to make
if you tell him that the show brought you there, and I'll hook you up.
Definitely. He will link you up. Some beautiful, amazing pieces over there. If you haven't already seen them, you're missing out. So follow him here on Vincent Dunn Art on Vincent Dunn Art on Instagram. So make sure you do so. Anthony, what you got coming up over there on 6 Scale Mafia IG YouTube page, bro?
Shit. Well, first, hey, thanks for having me on, man.
Definitely.
We had a good conversation, I think, tonight.
Yeah,
definitely.
I like it. I like it's a little more intimate and tackling some subjects I think we all have on our minds. But I don't know. I mean, I've got my 1,000 subscribers. It's coming up. So I've done that IG11 giveaway. Hopefully by the end of the month. I don't know. We'll see.
Definitely.
My streams are on Mondays. I've got my Boba Tooth pack. So as soon as I'm feeling a little bit better, I'm gonna be doing a review and it's rough. And we do my reviews on Saturdays with Mario. Collecting weekly. So we're going through the Rogue One line, one by one, and kind of doing the whole retrospective of it, kind of just unboxing and reviewing the old figures, and that's about it, man, for much now going on my channel.
Yeah, and we're about to actually hit a lull with Hot Toys too, considering the simple fact that we have Chinese New Year coming up, so a lot of figures over in Hong Kong are going to be kind of stalled. So it's going to be a whole bunch of Grail pieces being advertised, people going back getting pieces that they missed out on. They're going to kind of spend time doing that, so paying off some of the figures that they got out there waiting. So it should be a pretty decent time. So yes, if you haven't already, subscribe to Anthony at the 6 Scale Mafia on IG and YouTube. Definitely help him get up to that 1,000 subscribers. And if you want that IG11, come on, man, it's a free giveaway. Come on, man, 1,000 subscribers. If you haven't already, get over there, subscribe now. Do it ASAP. If you are a subscriber of me, then get over there and subscribe to him, and also all these individuals here. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you do subscribe to the 16 Scale Man YouTube channel on Twitter and Instagram. Today, of course, was always Comic Book Talk with Friends on Mondays. Tuesday, you'll actually see me on Justin's channel with Robert Meyer Burnett. Wednesday will basically be Figure Talk, which is Say What. We'll actually go over the latest and greatest. And also, we're going to do a companion talk with Anthony and Robert Meyer Burnett, where we're going to actually talk about XO6 in the Star Trek line. I'm going to get educated. So I'm going to be educated on that. So I cannot wait.
Star Trek, huh?
Yeah, Star Trek, bro. I'm going to be educated on that.
For me, too.
Yeah.
Well, little known fact, I'm the videographer for XO6.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll be an interesting. I can't wait to to talk about it. I just love
Yeah.
Rick in general. So
I can't wait. And the thing is, it's like people listen. I'm eclectic when it comes to everything. I'm a Star Trek fan as well as Star Wars. Again, I do love. But see, the thing is, I'm an OG. I'm an OG. I like the OG. You know what I mean? And you know, we'll have that discussion definitely. But that'll be hopefully on Tuesday. On Wednesday. I'm sorry. I'm gonna talk to Robert Von Burnett to see like we can get that done earlier, since I'm off that day. So stay tuned for that. Thursday will be Uncivilized Scoundrel. Hopefully, please, Jesus Christ, please let us have a good episode of Boba, the Book of Boba, on Wednesday, so we have a decent conversation on Thursday. Please.
I can't wait.
Oh my God, please. I hope that actually happens. And again, back here on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, or evening at 4:30, we will actually have Take Your Position. This week we will be doing Thor figures, so stay tuned for that. Yeah. Again, man, thanks guys. Thank y'all for being here tonight. Let me hold on. Let me do this real quick.
Got thrown up.
Let me do this real quick. I'm gonna cue it up real quick. Let me actually go ahead and do this real quick because I know Vin ain't gonna let me live it down if I don't.
Nope.
So let's do this real quick. So let me put my romper room. Let me get my romper room on real quick. So let's reach out. We got Mark 7 in the building. Thank you for that. Now, mind you, this is my romper room mirror. We have El Profesoro in the building. Thank you for coming through. The Bing Cave, this old brag. Efren Guzman, thank you for coming through. CT603, thank you for coming through. Mark 7. We have single songwriter in the building. Tobar, Ashley Chase. We have DK in the building. Let's see here. Paul Lamb, thank you for coming through, man. As always, it's a privilege. It's an honor. Max Geekdom, my guy. Let's see here. Let's see. Have Ninja Squirrel 30. Thank you for coming through. Linda was here. Thank you for coming through. Cold Pizza. Thank you for being in the building. Every time I see that name, it makes me hungry. Ashley Chase. Let's see who else we actually have here. Bloodsport was in the building. Thank you for coming through. And it looks like we had another tech, another one of those, Anyway, let's see here. We have, man, quite a few people here. My baby, Latoya T, thank you for coming through. My daughter, Skyla, thank you for coming through. Lizzie Venus, thank you for basically being here. Let me see who else we had. DJ N, thank you for coming through, man. As always, it's a pleasure. Malachi Mabane. We had Arj Bunnell, thank you for coming through. Let's see here. Man, we had a lot of people coming through here tonight. It was really good. Said Max Geekdom. Let me see here. Luminara, thank you for basically being here as always. Let me see here. Who else we got? Philosopher King, thank you for actually coming through. MWJ, thank you for being here. Jeremy Art is Art, thank you for coming through. Charlie the Unicorn, thank you for being here. KG the Collector, my guy, thank you for coming through here. Yeah, we had quite a few, man. If I haven't said your name and you actually stopped through, I thank you for being here. As always, it's always a pleasure to have you guys. Tune in next week. We will have the gang and everybody here with us. We're going to go through the whole catalog. Who knows what the topic's going to be, but best believe you'll know by the end of this week. Again, thank you guys for actually coming through on behalf of everybody in this panel and everybody that's not here. We love y'all. Keep it geek. Collect those comics. And you already know, just keep it real, man. Straight up. Like this IP, just keep it moving. And just love it. You know, we're geeks at heart, and we're getting a lot of the stuff that we never thought we would actually get before. So just embrace it, love it. No matter if you're a DC fan, Marvel fan, whatever IP, it doesn't matter. We're all here for you. So anyway, peace and love. Thank you guys for coming through. We will see you guys next week. And for those who watch the channel, I'll see you throughout the week. Love y'all. Peace.